Galaxy of Film presents
Perfect organism.
The blackest eyes,
Black eye, like a doll's eye.
I admire its purity.
is purely and simply ethereal.
Monster Mayhem. All right, guys, welcome back to the Brain-ups of Galaxy of Film. I'm, of course, your host, Max, and we do have Dakari Holder here in the co-host seat. How's it going, bro?
Pretty good, man. Grateful to be alive. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good, man. We got a very special episode this week. I've been pretty busy this week myself here, too. I entered in like a 48-hour film challenge over the weekend. So getting back to shooting some stuff finally. It's been a couple months since we've been filming, ever since Naima and I and yourself wrapped up on a little film called Would You Like Fries With That? So yeah, dude, been really busy with school stuff going on, but you know what? It doesn't matter because here we are with the second episode of Monster Mayhem this month. And I've been looking forward to this all week for sure. And with that, I want to go ahead and introduce Mr. William Kish, stepping up for other co-host role this week, the founder of Monster Mayhem. How's it going, Will?
It's going pretty good. I'm excited for this episode. Final Destination is something that has just been like a part of my life for a very long time. So it's really awesome to be able to talk about this whole franchise today. And yeah, especially as a part of Monster Mayhem.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah. Little spoiler alert there. A real sick one, bud.
Well, I assume that, they've read the title before clicking on, listening to the video.
Hey, probably, dude. Probably. Who knows, though? But yeah, we are talking Final Destination, of course, and I want to go ahead and reintroduce someone to the show. Of course, she hasn't made an appearance this season yet, but she is one of our she's one of our
We'll give her the honorary title.
Give her the honorary. Naima's just staring at me. Made me nervous for a second. Okay, dude, I got like a definite from her.
I mean, I've kind of been on the podcast. We've been going around interviewing people at the Galaxy Cons, the Nightmare Weekends. I feel like that is podcasting.
I was just going to call you one of the pillars, dude. But you know what? We got Naima Saeed here. Welcome back to the Galaxy of Film.
Hi, everybody. How are you doing? I am good. We are busy between Galaxy of Film and all these other things, so happy to be here. Super excited, especially in October, to be talking about one of my favorite franchises, obviously. Obviously, Max knows that I am starting pre-production for my next film called Bad Company, which obviously I am starring as the lead in, because why not? And then I'll be back up in New York for a little while, back and forth between here and there. But
hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. Speaking of films, I just wrapped production on my fourth short film, guys.
Oh, okay.
Short film, guys. It's really short. It's kind of like what you did for the 48 hour film challenge, but I'll still count it as something,
No, I feel you, dude. I'm looking forward to seeing it, of course. We're going to dive into more of those in just a moment, though, of course. I want to go ahead and reintroduce our very special guest star for this week. None other than Jeffrey Reddick, creator of Final Destination. How's it going, man?
I'm doing well. I'm glad it's Halloween season, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Best time of the year.
Best time of the year, hands down, so.
Of course. And I want to go ahead, and for our listeners, if you're not familiar with previous seasons of Galaxy of Film, first of all, link down below to the episode I'm referencing that I'm about to talk about. But of course, check out some of other stuff because they're always great. But Jeffrey, it's such a great honor to get you back here. You're one of our first reoccurring guest stars we've had on the podcast. We had you back on, I believe, during season 2, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe season 3. I got to double check when that came out. But you were discussing the original Final Destination with us. We had a great time with Curtis, Johnny Zuko, and our director of fan relations, Shamim. And here we are following up, talking about the sequels finally. So it's good to get you back on here, truly.
No, it's great to be here. Like I said, I love Halloween and the latest Bloodlines. I mean, no, not just skipping all the others, but such a 25th anniversary. But I thought that everybody just killed it with Bloodlines, and the fans really showed up for it. So I know that I speak for everybody involved in the franchise, from the people that worked on it to the studio. Like, just so grateful to all the fans for coming back, and I think the writers and directors just really brought their A game. Yeah, it's been and it's the 25th anniversary of the first one, so it's just been like kind of a magical Final Destination year.
Gotta love it. Gotta love
Yes.
it. And congratulations on everything going on with this franchise and the legacy it has. Truly, like you mentioned, 25 years. This is crazy. This is the series that, like, along with Saw, where this like gave me nightmares in middle school from just seeing clips nonstops on YouTube. You know. And here we are having a chance to come together and reminisce over all these sequels this time. It's going to be a lot of fun for sure. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and dive into real quick, before we even dive into these films real quick. Dakari, I'm glad you mentioned the film you had just worked on, because there's another film that's about to come out next week in just a couple of days. And it just dropped in our Patreon today. I know we've been teasing it and promoting it a little bit, but that is, of course, the directorial debut. I'm saying that, you know, with full confidence, because I know there was a little analog horror short film that was pretty awesome. You know, this is pure live action directorial debut of William Kish here, and that's of course Acts of Violence. Will, can you go ahead and plug that film again for us real quick before we begin?
Yeah, so I have actually done a couple directorial things on older YouTube channels, but for Galaxy Film, this is the first time on Galaxy Film where I'm kind of the headline director. So there's this idea, Acts of Violence, that I've had just bouncing around in my head for like over a year until I finally got to writing it and getting a crew together. We've shot it over the past like year, and it's been a long time of like post-production. But I'm proud to announce that it's coming out in just a couple of days on Saturday. And it's about a wannabe serial killer who's like documenting himself as he's kind of like formulating this manifesto, and then he starts stalking this woman, and he builds up the confidence to go for his first kill, but things don't really go the way that he expected. And there is a bit of like a supernatural twist to what's going on. So I had a great time developing that story and making it, and collaborating with so many wonderful people, all my actors and my cinematographer. It was a great experience. I'm glad to finally get it out there.
Hell yeah, dude. I cannot wait to see it. I know you were literally just calling me like 5 minutes before we started recording, getting everything uploaded. So I have not seen it at this time, dude, but I cannot wait to watch it first thing after this podcast. So could be more proud of you guys. You'll hear more of our thoughts on it next week, because we got a really cool episode next week for Monster Mayhem, where we're doing like a round table with other indie filmmakers talking about some horror stuff that we've made ourselves. So you guys will kind of get some of the inside scoop and some of the nitty gritty details of Acts of Violence, of a little film Naima and I made together called Pretty Hurts as well. So a lot of fun stuff will be coming off next week. But reeling back in for this week of Final Destination, let's get everyone caught up. Last time we talked about the original film, and this time we're doing all the sequels. You know, we do have, of course, the newest entry that came out this year, Bloodlines, as well, to discuss. And there's also a new one coming out next year as well that was announced the other day.
I'm not sure it'll come out. I'm not sure it'll come out next year, just because of the timing. I mean, Laurie Evans Taylor, who co-wrote the last one, is writing it, and they just hired this really amazing Belgian director. Well, they're in talks. I'm not sure. They're in talks. I'm pretty sure he's hired. I just don't want to ever say anything prematurely. But everybody, again, because the fan reaction for Bloodlines was so amazing. We won't be having to wait 14 years for more. And I just think it's great, because the thing is, the people that work on it are fans. So this isn't just like the studio going out and saying we have to make money. Like, if they wanted to just milk this, we would have had like 14 of them by now. Yeah. So the Bloodline story that John Watts came up with was a really cool way to go into the story at a different angle. And then they've come up with an equally clever and original way to come into this new story that it's still a Final Destination movie, but I'm just really excited with what they're doing with it. And
awesome.
Sweet. And we'll of course be here next year, or whenever that eventually comes out, to discuss that at 7th entry as well. But let's go ahead and recap everyone and get their kind of thoughts on the original ones and just their feelings in this franchise in general, because we didn't get them here for the last episode. Dakari, I'm putting you up first on this one. Where are you at with Final Destination, man?
I have a weird history with Final Destination.
Okay.
Because I haven't really seen all of them. I've only really watched, prior to this episode, I've only really watched 4 and 5, and then the first one.
Oh.
Yeah, I know it's
The
weird.
movies you watch?
You missed
But
the
see-
best. You missed one of the best ones.
I believe it. But see, I would rewatch the first one so much because I was actually intrigued by it. But then, around the time 4 and 5 came out, that's when my mother was, getting back into the series too, because she's a big horror fan. So I would just, naturally watch 4 and 5 with her, but I would never go back to rewatch those for obvious reasons, right? But, the first one always stuck with me, and unfortunately I have yet to see Bloodlines. I know.
That's
I
all right.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
No
Yeah.
judgment. It's on HBO Max now, so
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I'll be sure to watch it. I've been meaning to watch it. It looks really good.
He's got Jeffrey. You might not be judging by him just a little bit, but it's okay. He's my co-host.
Oh,
It's all right. It's all
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I know. I need
Oh.
to catch up.
Now, Naima, this is a franchise that you have been nonstop raving about ever since the day I've met you. Anytime you and I are at a convention and it's someone who may look like they've even seen this movie, you're calling them out from across the room. So
Yeah.
let us give a little bit of history with you in this franchise, if you will.
Yeah. So, Jeff, you may not know, but I have been watching horror films since I was 5. It is a big part of my life, the horror franchise, like the horror genre in general, excuse me. How Final Destination came about, I still don't know what initiated it. I don't know if it used to be on Sci-Fi and maybe I watched it there. I don't know if it was rented, like back, when we all used DVD players. The initial watch, I can't remember. I'm assuming cable.
Mhm.
And my mom, may God rest her soul, and my brother were huge horror fans. And so they kind of passed it down to me. So when I watched Final Destination, the first one, I was already in love with Devon Sawa. I've always been a fan of his for as long as I can remember. He's even in my IMDb notebook that I created when I was a kid, but it just says Devon Squiggles because I could never get his last name. Yeah, which I will pull up and show you guys later. It's actually really cute. And it references Final Destination, so I think you'd really appreciate it. But I remember first watching this movie and not, knowing what to expect, because back then we didn't really look things up to understand the genre, like what it is. And when the plane scene happened, that's it. I was hooked. I was like, this is a fear that so many of us have. And what this movie does, and then what the rest of the franchise, which we'll get into, does so beautifully and well that I've never seen in any other horror film. And it's kind of its own subgenre, if you really think about it, is the idea of using your fears that you day to day and seeing the result of that through actual death, and then having death itself follow you if you, for however reason, cheat death, which is also a possibility, and just kind of seeing what that could look like. It is probably one of the most fascinating concepts I've ever seen. So that's my love in history. And the first movie that's different from all the others, since I wasn't here for the first one, that does so well is that it really scares you. Like the other ones, they get, they're still scary, but they're funny. Like there's that comedic element to it that I love, like the little jokes, the characters who are quirky, like it's funny, but they're still terrifying. But that first movie, like it really scares you. Like you're really watching it and you're like, oh shit, like this could really happen. And I actually care about these characters. I care what happens to them. Like you can see how one by one, peels off, and understanding that, especially like Alex's friend, the suicide that is shown in the first. That technically, till this day, unlike a lot of the others, that was still viewed as what it was, rather than the whole death coming for you type of thing. Kind of like Billy getting his like neck head chopped off of the train, which was awesome. And the bus, I think what I love about it is you don't see a lot of them coming. And you did a brilliant job, and the team and everyone does such a brilliant job at redirecting you into what you're actually thinking is happening. And that's what makes the franchise, I think that's what I fell in love with. And then I started watching them every year, and I've been following them as the movies have progressed. I watched the fourth in 3D at the movie theater. I
Okay.
watched the sixth in the movie. I don't think the fifth had a theatrical release.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
I don't know if it did. I don't remember if I saw that in theaters, but the fourth definitely and the sixth definitely. So it's just become a part of my life now. So thank you, Jeffrey, for coming up with this amazing and creating this concept. It's absolutely brilliant. And the first movie is still one of my favorites because I feel like it's just a standalone compared to the other ones. There's just something about it that is just very different and raw and real. And it started something that we don't really see in any other type of horror films.
Yeah. And I have to give a lot of credit to that, to James Wong and Glenn Morgan, who directed it. And also they wrote the final shooting script. I wrote the original script and the story. And they really, because in my original take, like I've always said, was I'm a big Nightmare on Elm Street fan. So
Hmm.
they cheated Death. When Death came back after them, it was still picking them off in the order they would have died, which was kind of something that Alex learned halfway through the movie. But Death used their survivor's guilt against them. So it played with their minds in these very terrifying, like Nightmare on Elm Street scenarios. So like Todd still, hung himself, but in the original version, like his father is coming home and his Todd calls him frantically and we don't see where he's at and he's just apologizing for all the bad things he's done in life and his dad's getting more worried and when his dad gets home and hits the garage door opener, he as the garage door opens, he realizes Todd's rung, set a noose up to hang himself. So it was very Nightmare on Elm Street influenced in Suicide, which is dark, to look like Suicides. And then when James and Glenn came on board, they really uh, came up with the idea of making death like just everyday, being, using everyday things to get you,
Hmm.
which I really love because I was like, this really opens it up to a wider audience because I worked at the studio that made when the film came out. So I was kind of there, you know, I did the X-Files script that got me an agent, but never went to the X-Files. But I know it's on the internet somewhere. It says, that it went, but we never sent it. So I got to kind of be there from the first incarnation of the project to us deciding to do it at New Line. And at first they were going to be adults, and then we decided to make them teenagers after Scream came out. And then we had a huge fight with the studio about not showing death because in my X-Files script, there was no death. It was just a force.
Hmm.
And then when I sold it to the studio, they kind of made me put like an angel of death in there that showed up.
Oh,
Like,
interesting.
yeah, like, it wasn't killing them, but you did see it like in the original version, like Carter's character throws himself in front of a subway train as opposed to like his girlfriend getting hit by a bus. But that's, Alex shows up a little late at the scene, and that's when he sees this kind of shadowy figure that's kind of taunts him to like, let him know that you can't escape death. But um yeah, it wasn't actively killing them, but they wanted some manifestation in there. And you kind of see that. I'm so glad that James and Glenn fought the studio on that too, because
Yeah.
you see some remnants of that in the original film, like with the shadow, the
Hmm.
black shadow.
Yeah.
And there's a scene
Okay.
where Val is like she's looking at her glass and then throws it like really suddenly. And in those shadows originally, I remember Craig Perry talking about this. In those shadows, they were originally going to have they were going to have a specter, the death specter, and kind of a glimpse of how they were going to die. And luckily, again, James and Glenn did not want to do that. So, we fought many times to make sure that you didn't show death. Because my whole point when I wrote it was like, as long as you don't tie any cultural or religious belief to it, and you just make death,
Hmm.
then it's going to appeal to everybody. And
Right.
and James and Glenn, they're very good. That's why I was so excited when they got brought on the project because they're very good at like they have a dark sense of humor. It's very dark. Like there's so many clues in the film. Like before Val leans down to the computer, there's the dagger and the stained glass mirror behind her. Like they put a lot of stuff like that in their films. Um, and everything was kind of shot off kilter just a little bit. Like things weren't framed perfectly, just to give you this kind of otherworldly sense. So um, they created a very like ominous like atmosphere that I think worked really well to what you're saying. Like I think worked really well for the first film and like creating this like dark, ominous, oppressive, almost kind of film that was still entertaining,
Hmm.
bloody, and had really relatable characters. Um, but I think, like I do like in part two how they kind of step more because I think they found the right balance. Because I think death is such a serious subject. Like you don't want to have movie after movie, like people,
Hmm.
just dealing in the grief of it all.
Sure.
But I think that first film, that was definitely like the studio took a chance on it, yeah, and again it paid off because of the fans. Like it was a word of mouth hit. It opened at like number three, and instead of dropping like 50% like most horror films, we noticed during the week that the numbers were going up.
Oh
So
wow.
it, truly like a word of mouth hit. Like, so the fans, again, I always go back to the fans, but again, that's why, I've always been very grateful, not only again to the fans, but also to all the people that have worked on it. Like
Hmm.
we got Candyman himself, who was an
Rest in peace.
idol, and then became a friend. And then we got Devin Sawa, who was a crush on me, who was a crush, a pin up on my wall, and now we're friends.
Oh,
And so
Wow.
I made so many wonderful friends from just the franchise itself, but that first one has a special place in my heart because again, Alex, I wanted a final guy. We'd had a lot of final girls in films at that point, and I wanted to just have a final guy, and so because I think that dynamic is a lot different.
Hmm.
And I think, James and Glenn did a great job of like, nuance, giving him nuance and directing him. And Devin is just brilliant. I mean, I every time I watch that performance, I'm like, he's just so raw.
Yeah, he kills it.
Got a great
Truly.
cast.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love you got Candyman and Boy Crush. Love
Yeah.
it.
Uh,
You
all in
must have
one.
had the
Well,
time
and
of
Keir
your
Smith
life.
too from Dawson. I mean, at that, let's be honest, Keir
Yeah.
Smith. And then for the straight guys out there, we were getting Ali Larter right after Varsity Blues
Yeah.
and whipped cream pasties. And my favorite, well, it's not my favorite story because all of them are my favorites, but Craig Perry also produced American Pie. So,
Oh.
I love American.
so he was
Oh
like,
wow.
there's this kid, Sean William Scott. I don't care what you do, you have to cast him in this movie because this guy is brilliant and he's going to blow up. And so that was like a stroke of luck, that just again, karmic. We just got a really, yeah, really got a cool cast together.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I want to go ahead and say rest in peace to Tony Todd as well.
Mm.
I know
Yeah,
he's got
man.
brought up.
Rest
Oh
in
my
peace.
goodness. It's just heartbreaking, heartbreaking, truly. Seeing, and we'll talk about Bloodlines as well, but having the chance to see his whole scene in Bloodlines is just such a beautiful moment for this franchise, truly.
Yeah.
Goodness.
It
Um,
ended the story very beautifully. It really did. I mean,
Yeah.
it. We'll get into it, but may God, may he rest in peace.
yeah, for sure. Well, let's hear some of your thoughts on Final Destination, just as a whole, real quick, before we dive in and get into the nitty-gritty of these sequels.
Yeah, first I wanted to just real quick like mention like I was literally thinking earlier today about how ballsy it is that this movie franchise does not have like a single identifiable marketable villain that you
Mhm.
could put in all the posters, sell action figures of, that whole thing. And hearing that there was at one point going to be like an attempt at creating this, an entity that you actually see at some point. I respect that restraint, like from you guys, that like, because it, like you said, the whole filmmaking of the movie centered like you feel death's presence at all times. The
Mhm.
movie itself is a character, like you feel, death, his machinations at all times. You see all the little hints when you see like, oh, that pointy thing, somebody's definitely going to get stabbed by that at some point. And that's almost like death itself is you're seeing it through his eyes, like, oh, these are the tools that I'm going to use. And it almost puts the audience into the perspective of death in that way. So I really respect that decision that to not have just a spooky ghost guy show up at some point.
That was, and again, James and Glenn, especially as the directors, and the final screenwriters on the shooting script, like they yeah, they really fought the good fight. Like, I mean, I fought the good fight as far as I could, but my give was like, well, I'll have an Angel of Death figure show up and like taunt Alex at the halfway point, but I want it very clear that it's not killing them. Like it's the Survivors Guild and they're killing themselves. And they're like, well, as long as you show some, we just need to see something. And I think the one thing that we all share in common is as much as we love it, we don't have any Funko Pops. You
That
know,
is true.
that I mean, and that's just that's not even like me wanting to be like a merch whore. That's just me like as a kid having my Freddy toys and my like my toys for my favorite movies and my little action figures. It's just like I keep writing supernatural stuff without like I have a slasher movie that's hopefully coming out, um but the fact if we had a figure, I think it would have turned into being about that and
Sure.
it wouldn't have been it wouldn't have had the impact that it's had, to be honest. So um yeah, it's I joke about the Funko Pop just because I just all my friends are sending me Funko Pops and I'm like, fuck you, Funko. No, I'm kidding. Devin's got a little Casper Funko Pop. So, um,
Wait, is that mini me in the background?
that's an
Oh.
original mini me from the new line.
Wow.
Yeah, you squeeze him and he goes, ee.
that's
Oh
sick,
my
dude.
gosh.
Yeah.
That's so
That's awesome.
cool.
I know. I wish that was a little long because I have him like scrunched in there, so it's. But yeah.
That's sick,
Yeah.
dude.
It's also just real quick, very fitting that this like it was developed as like a X-Files episode because there are so
Yeah.
many episodes of the X-Files where there's like an invisible force hunting down people and killing them. I assume to save on budget for you don't have to make like an alien running
Yeah.
around. But yeah, very fitting. But anyways, Final Destination is one of those franchises that I've like known my whole life pretty much. There are a couple of movies that came out in like the 2000s that there are just moments that I'd get a glimpse of when I shouldn't have been watching the TV. Like I kind of
Yeah.
snuck in and watched a scene that and it would the scene that I would watch would scar me for years. One of those being in the first Final Destination where the train passes by and hits the sheet of metal and cuts the guy's head off. I had never seen anything like that in my entire life. And that totally every time, like as a kid, every time we'd pass by like train tracks, I'd be like, oh my God. Like, but anyways, like I do have like a pretty strong like connection with these movies because like this is always something that I've watched with people
Okay.
in my life. Like it's always a marathon.
hmm
Uh, like the first time I watched them like in full, it was with my brother when I was really getting into horror movies for the first time, and he was just showing me every single movie franchise. Uh, and just a couple years ago, one of my best friends, her two favorite horror movie franchises are Saw and Final Destination. So we
Okay,
watched
yeah.
through all of
Ooh,
those.
We like her.
cool.
I
Yeah.
feel I
That's really
honestly
cool.
like I hear that it's so funny because I hear when I go to conventions, I hear that combination
Mhm.
like where people are like, my two favorite franchises are Final
Yep.
Destination and Saw, and I love both of them, but they feel so divergent from each other.
Oh
Even though I
yeah.
think, yeah, it just cracked because I would like Scream came out at the same time, so I'm always expecting to be like Final Destination and Scream, but it literally like 90% of people when they come up with their two favorites, it's like Saw and Final Destination, and
Yep.
I just love that it's
I think it's probably because of the way they both like set up and pay off these kills,
yeah.
where it's always
Exactly.
like
That's exactly what it is.
here's
Mhm.
all the things that death is going to use to kill this person, and now the viewer is like in their head like, oh my God, how is this going to actually play out? And then in Saw, you see the trap, and then you get
Mm,
explained how the trap works, and
yeah,
then boom, the payoff. It's a very similar setup,
that
and it's
makes
always different.
sense.
And it has to be
Yeah.
different each scene. It can't be just a guy walking around with a knife and stabbing them like 10 times in a row, and then the movie's over.
Okay.
Each entry in the franchise has to like come up with new creative ways to kill people.
As someone
So
who
yeah.
watches all of them, Max is my witness. He could pull up all of the receipts. What was the other franchise I literally told you I binge every year? Say it.
Oh, it's Saw. Yeah, dude.
I say
It's your hand in
it
hand,
all
dude.
the time. I
Yeah.
did not
Texted
know
about this
that. I
last
thought I was
night.
alone in this world. I didn't know this was a combination thing. But when me and Max were texting when he was rewatching the movies, we were also talking about the Saw franchise, and I tell him I've seen all of them. You know, I watch them every year. I have my franchises every October or throughout the year. I have to watch them in one sitting every year. It's like if I don't do it, I'm gonna go mad, right? So there is no, for me, I don't know why I love both of them the way that I do. I think there is just something interesting about these movies that make you keep going and wanting to watch them. I don't know. Saw just it gets ridiculous, but it's still fun. And same with Final Destination. Like they have more fun. They have fun with it as it keeps going. But the deaths are just so good, and I love me a good gore session. So
Absolutely, dude.
Saw also has that quandary about how far would you go to save your life or to so it's got like a philosophical rooting to it.
Mm-hmm.
it also has that kind of redirection too. Like when you watch a lot of them, you think it's going one way, or if you go one way, it'll be this way. But in reality, there's so much more that you don't know about. And like the Saw franchise and the Final Destination franchise, the more sequels there are, the more lore you get about all of it. So I think maybe that could be another comparison. I'm gonna grab my notebook, but I'm here.
Okay, dude. I was about to say, it was funny enough. Last night when I was watching Final Destination 4, Naima and I got into like a whole like debate over Spiral and Saw. In just the midst of it, dude.
Don't talk to me about Spiral. Terrible.
That's what I'm talking about, dude.
I still haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen that one either.
I like it,
My mother's a big
I just show it. American Pie fan, huge. And then I'm gonna find the other thing. But Spiral is awful. I don't care. The original Saw franchise is phenomenal. Where you got Spiral from, I couldn't even tell you.
Saw 1 through 4 is incredible, dude. Then we get Spirals.
I like 6 too. Don't discredit 6.
5 isn't terrible. 5 isn't terrible. I seen 5 in theaters. I seen 5 in theaters when it came out.
That's
not bad whatsoever.
Because my mom, she's a huge Saw fan. Like there was one time where I was in elementary school, and then specifically during that year in Halloween, she went to Movie Gallery and rented every single bought every single last Saw movie that was out up until that point.
That's crazy, dude.
Exactly.
The time I've met your mom, like she's such a bubbly, nice person. I can't imagine her just like sitting down.
Oh, she loves the Saw movies. She loves those movies, man. She still got those DVDs. I think a lot of those are like the 2-disc special editions.
The transparent ones, where it's
where they have the really nice slip covers on it. Yeah,
those are sick.
I got you.
Uh-oh, she finna bring them out.
Oh boy, it's just turning the show and tell.
There we go. That's it right there.
You
there
see
we
it?
go.
Look at that. With the Saw.
That's a really cool design.
But this is for you, Jeff. This is for you, Jeffrey. Here it is. I don't know if you can read it. Hold on. Okay, tell me if you can see it. Oh my god, I'm just gonna hold this. Can you see it says Devin Squiggle?
Oh yeah. Naughty or nice. Final Destination Backwoods, yes.
Keep in mind, the list grew as, I got older, but this was 11-year-old me writing an IMDb. So, and this is also for you, Jeffrey. You're going to really appreciate this. As you can tell, I've been wanting to be an actor my entire life and be in this industry my entire life. Here. This was a cutout from when it first came out. The Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, yeah.
I know, the remake, but I know you're a fan. So I thought you'd appreciate that too.
Yeah.
Nice.
There you go, dude.
And I know we had mentioned it pre-recording, but I'll mention it again. We've actually had the pleasure at, Nightmare Weekend. We got to interview Kerr Smith, who was such a doll.
That was Nightmare Weekend.
I love him so much. And then it was GalaxyCon Raleigh that we got to interview Devin Sawa, who I'm a huge fan of, which is why I had to show all of this. And he was also such a sweetheart. There was one question I regret not asking him because I didn't think about it, but I'm going to ask all of you guys it later, and I want to see what your answer will be. And Devin, if you watch this one day, hey. And I'm going to ask you this question again, so think about your answer too.
Oh, geez. All right, let's reel it in and start talking about the sequels for this one. So yeah, Jeffrey, you're a lot more involved with Final Destination 2. Let's hear a bit more about some of this stuff going on with that one and how you got involved with two, if you don't mind, before we
Oh
start.
yeah, no, two. I mean, once I knew, I mean, because again, I worked at this studio. Like once we got around to the second week of box office,
Mhm.
I knew there was going to be a second one. So I started working on the story for that one right away. And my goal, because I knew I kind of knew what was working with about the film, and I just wanted to have fun with it. I wanted to do what I love in sequels, so I wanted to, bring some of the OG cast back. I
Mm,
wanted to, since we originally were gonna have adults, I wanted to have adult characters in this one, but I wanted
okay.
to start off with Kimberly and her friends so that you think they're gonna be the leads and then like murder them all of her friends off. Um, and I wanted to expand upon the mythology of the first film so that you realize like everybody in the second film is only alive because the people in the first film were alive when they should have been dead. So
Mhm.
they kind of glossed over that explanation a little bit because it's kind of just in the van scene, but that was a kind of a bigger kind of reveal in the story when I first wrote it. But I just wanted to have fun with it. And you know, um, we had the a hotel fire. It was originally going to be a hotel fire. I remember, and Craig was just like, I don't hotel fire. I don't know if that's going to be as good as a plane crash. I'm like, yeah, but
Mm,
probably some good stuff we could do. And so I'm driving home to Kentucky to visit my family, um,
Mhm.
which is where I came up with the idea for the first movie, actually. Not the same trip, but I was driving
mm.
home and I got behind a log truck on the Mountain Parkway and I was like, fuck this. And I pulled over and I was like, fuck this. And I pulled off the parkway and I think it was pretty late actually. And I called Craig because we had that kind of relationship. I called him up and I was like, what about a log truck on a freeway and and he's like, that's the opening. And so that's honestly like it's one of my favorite openings, I think, in a horror franchise. I would say
Um,
I will be hopefully won't sound cocky. So I'll say maybe top 10 openings in a
okay.
in a horror franchise. I would say maybe a little higher, but I don't want to sound like a douchebag. But
You good.
the reason I think it works so well because it's kind of become the thing, like
Mhm.
I get memes every day about it, but it's something that again, because it takes a village to make a movie and you never know where inspiration's coming from. And so that was something that just happened, thank God I was driving home and got behind that log truck. And then also we had J. Mackie Gruber and Eric Bress writing the script, um, and David Ellis directing, who's no longer with us, but he was a stunt person. So we knew like we didn't have to describe the whole log truck pileup scene. And we're like, you do your job, like let
Mhm.
David do what he does. And so I remember when I went to visit the set, they built this whole long fake freeway on this huge table with like little cars and little logs and then little dots to where things were going to happen. And so I think it was just a mixture of obviously the scene itself, but the way it was shot and directed, and then the fun mix of characters, that were in the film. Um, I was a huge fan of AJ Cook, uh,
Okay.
so I was really happy when they cast her in the film. And then Eric and Jay, like they had done the butterfly effect, which is
Mhm.
kind of, in the
Mhm.
same vein as Final Destination, but they really brought in the sense of humor that I think kind of has defined the rest of the films. But I think that is it's actually my favorite film, to be honest.
No, it's my
Um,
favorite as well. I'm glad you
it's
said
my favorite sans not having Devin in it. Um, that's my only bummer is they weren't able to bring him back, and so they just did a stupid head in the brick art newspaper thing, which I was like, that's kind of a fuck you to the fans of the first movie, and to it's just a fuck you, like come up with
I
something a little bit more clever.
I was waiting in Bloodlines for them to retcon
Yeah.
that somehow, for them to be like,
Yeah,
oh no, he faked his
Oh,
death so that he, would be able to just move to an isolated location where no one would bother him or something. I,
no,
I think that's, what they should do, hopefully.
I knew
yeah,
that's what it wasn't going to be because then the rest of two wouldn't make sense with Claire's character. But the question I was going to ask him, which is pertaining to that, is I was going to ask Devin, if you had a choice on how you died in Final Destination, what would have it been? That's what I wanted to ask him. I wanted to know if he could have chose, because I figured he didn't choose. I figured there was a conflict of scheduling or something like that, because I know he would have made a reappearance if he could. And I really wanted to know if he could get killed off in the way he should have, what would it be? Like, did you ever have an idea for him? I'm just curious.
No, honestly, like in the original story, he lived. I had him and Kimberly
Oh wow.
were alive at the end of the film, so that's why I killed Clear off. So I had not planned on killing him. I kind of wanted him to, to be the final guy. Not forever, probably.
Yeah.
But definitely, I had him surviving and being, at the end, him and Kimberly had survived, and then they realized that she had broken the chain for herself, but she accidentally started a new chain, kind of a little bit like how at the end of part 2, where the kids at the barbecue and everything's over for Kimberly, but they're like, hey, remember how you sailed? And then his arm gets. The kid's a much better actor than what I just did. And then his arm blows up, so you realize like it's not, so that was the original idea for it. But yeah, so Devin didn't die. I had Clear dying like she does in the movie. Like she was, they were in the hospital, and she ended up getting blown up.
May I ask then, why did they kill him off then? Because they could have just insinuated that he lived like they do with Kimberly, because Kimberly never comes back.
You know what? They weren't able to bring him back, and I think they just weren't. They were just kind of being dicks about it. I mean, I'm not gonna.
Fair,
I'm not gonna. Time has passed. Time heals all. They were just dicks about it because they couldn't get him back, so they decided to kill him off in a, just like I said, a pretty FU kind of way. So, I know that Devin is really proud of the work he did in the first film, and he's got a great body of work. And I think everybody involved is kind of like, yeah, if we could take a time machine and go back, we would not have done that, but unfortunately they did. So,
Gotcha.
That's fair, yeah.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Our rating system is inspired by the planets from the Star Wars films. From highest to lowest, this is how we do our rankings. Number 5.
Coruscant. The entire planet is one big city.
Number 4.
Bespin. We're pretty far, but I think we can make it.
Number 3.
Hold me like you did by the lake on Naboo.
Number 2.
Set your course for the Hoth system.
And lastly, number 1.
Back to Why does everyone want to go back to Jakku?
Hi everyone, this is the Autograph King here, and today on Stream of the Week is Toxic Avengers. I saw it on July 24th of this year. I really enjoyed the film. It was an interesting first time seeing Toxic Avengers and really enjoyed it. Peter Dinklage did a good job in it. A 6.0 out of 10. And that's the Toxic Avengers, the wrap on Stream of the Week.
Wow. Fair. Damn, dude, it's so cool hearing about the log truck sequence from Final Destination 2 in general, because like that is the scene that defines this franchise for me.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I know you said you see the memes like every day about it. I'm sure.
I've seen the memes.
I've Max, there was a time before the 6th movie came out where only people like us understood that meme. Like I remember,
exactly.
I swear to God, I posted a video, me behind the log truck. I posted it. Again, I have receipts of everything. Instagram keeps everything. And I posted it, and I forgot what I said, but I made a really funny comment about it. And half of the people got it, and the other half of the people didn't understand why I was taking a picture of a log truck, in front of me. And then as soon as the 6th movie came out, everybody, is able to understand, the history of it. I'm like, you don't get it. Like in the 2nd movie, it redefined fear in all of us. Like, I'm going to tell you something, Jeffrey. I'm going to thank you for this. that second movie saved me one time. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna say it very quickly.
Wait.
I was driving. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dakari.
I was gonna say, yeah, I have seen the second movie because the second movie is where they was behind the log truck. Yeah, I've
And it was
seen
a
that.
false
Never mind.
death.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, but yeah, I've seen that.
False death, but one of the best false deaths of the entire franchise. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Literally
yeah, I remember
incredible. I wish I could get killed off by a log in a movie like that. Who wouldn't? So I was driving, I'm gonna do this really fast. I was driving to rehearsals one day and I see a truck in front of me and it's not logs, but it's crates, like wooden crates.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and there was one band over it. And I was like, I've seen this movie before. No. I was like,
no.
I was like, no, you're crazy. It's a movie. Like, and I was like, no. I know it's a movie, but, so you know what I did? I was like, you know what, Naima, just get out of the way. Just get out of the way. To my right, nobody will let me through. To my left, nobody's letting me through. So you know what I did? I was like, bet, I'm gonna drive 20 miles an hour to be as far away from the car as possible. And so I started driving. I slow down. I swear to God, this really happened. And I keep slowing and the cars behind me, they are mad. And I'm like, go around me. I was like, nobody wants to go around me. Nobody wants to go in front of me. Exactly. Y'all are scared of people. Don't worry about it. So I'm driving 20 miles an hour. The car is way far now at this point. I still see it, but it's no one is getting in my lane. I was like, doo-doo-doo-doo. I'm doing my thing. All of a sudden, I swear, I can't make this up. One crate falls.
Ugh.
2 crates. It was literally like I was in the movie. 2 crates fall. A bunch of crates fall. And you know what I did? Just put my little brake on, just brake, because I was far. I was like, brake, and guess, I swear, I wish y'all were there. I braked. I was slowing my roll. Everyone else was like on their brakes, and I was like, my car is here. The first, like, I don't even remember what I said. Crate. The first crate, right there. Right there.
Oh.
Yeah, it's too close, dude.
And now you know what I did? I sat in my car and I was like, I saved you. And then for a minute I was like, I just saved everybody. It's a movie.
That is a crazy story. That is like
and
a
you know
whole.
What? I didn't clean up those crates. I was like, I just saved all you guys. Get out, clean the crates, and I'm leaving. I was like, you're welcome. And I'm driving in fear, like, did I just start something? Oh, shit. But yeah, so you saved my life. Thank you, Jeffrey. I want to thank you for that.
I liked it because people always joke that I traumatize them about driving behind log trucks, and I'm just like, I think maybe I've saved some lives though. So maybe just
now you can say you have.
I have. So then I just want one humanitarian award before I die. I don't ask for much. I don't want an Oscar. Just one humanitarian award for people saved from driving behind log trucks.
Same thing with amusement park rides. I refuse, and Final Destination 3 is a key reason why.
Yeah.
I mentioned during the last podcast we did, and kind of earlier this episode too. With Final Destination movies, for me, have always been something where like I haven't seen these in their entireties up until recently, but I've seen 90% just on clips on YouTube or online, because I was in middle school around the time 5 was coming out. And this is my first time recently. I was watching 5 in its entirety, and I had no clue that I had already seen every death scene in that film on YouTube, gathered around a gross kind of like yellowed computer screen in my middle school library with like 20 like prepubescent preteens with me, just all going through and watching gory stuff that we're not supposed to on the school Wi-Fi. So like Saw scenes, Final Destination scenes, obviously. Random shit that's been clearly taken off of YouTube since then, all that kind of golden age of 2010 to like 13 internet during that time period. And the amusement park sequence, dude, that fucked me up a bit. I do not do heights whatsoever.
Yeah. I gotta say, James and Glenn came back after the third film, and again did a great job with tapping into some primal fears. You know, like I don't like roller coasters. If it's one that loops forward, maybe, but if it's 2 loops or goes backwards, forget it.
Yeah, so, no, I can't even do the 1 loop.
Yeah. So I think that, you know, you can also tell the difference in the sense of humor. Like the sense of humor in part 2 was more lighthearted. You know, there was still dark, again, they have a really good dark irony that they bring to the films. And so I thought the roller coaster in the amusement park and that sequel was really good. It's so funny because just like standing back and looking at the whole series, and I don't know if it's because of the ages of people when the movies came out, but there's a very clear contingent of very active people on social media that are always hitting me up going, can you please confirm that Wendy is alive? Like, they don't ask about anybody else from any of the other movies. It's always Wendy. Bring Wendy back, bring Wendy back. And I should just look at what year that came out and where the internet was is in far, in relationship to how often people were interacting. But I think that movie, because of the time that it came out, there is that contingent that is just like, Wendy, Wendy, Wendy. And I'm like, sorry, she's dead.
I mean, it's pretty obvious that
it was pretty definitive.
Died. I don't really think there's a question about it.
Yeah, but people want.
But my girl Mary, everybody loves her. She's a scream queen herself.
Oh my God, yeah,
she is phenomenal.
Yeah,
we all want her to live, obviously, but most of the movies she's in, she dies. So
Yeah, no, she's an amazing actress. We've been really, we've been really blessed with a lot of good people that come through. And now it's like, the funny thing is, because a lot of people grew up on the movies, now a lot of people are like, we want to die in a Final Destination movie. So it's you find really good talent, but in a way you like they have the pick of the litter now. The studio can kind of be like, well, maybe we kind of like this girl and this guy, and again, they pick great people for the roles, but it's just, I don't think they have to go through they still go through a process, but there are people like, we had Stargirl in the new one. My sister came to the premiere and she's like, I want to meet Stargirl. And Breck was so like touched that somebody, that's what, because that's very special to her and everybody on it. And so it's just cool. And then, Richard Harmon, who played Eric, is great. And then Teo from Chucky. So it's just like a fun mix of fresh faces or people that you're not used to seeing in an R-rated horror film. But they've done that throughout the whole series, Like we've been very fortunate. But yeah, Mary is just like a force too.
Oh, she's great in that, dude. And touching base on some of the casting for other ones, like I know you mentioned Dawson's Creek very briefly earlier. I was so pumped for Chantel in the fourth one. I totally forgot seeing her in certain parts of that because I'm a big One Tree Hill fan.
Yeah,
I love seeing her in the latter half of that show. But
Shot in North Carolina.
Yeah, of course, dude. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Let's dive more into 2 and 3. As a fan, Jeffrey, like I know you mentioned 2 is your favorite. I'm just like we're a big fan of that one, of course, of the first 2. But like, where are you at with 3? Like from a viewer's perspective?
No, I mean, I think it's really a strong, fun movie. Like I don't think. I mean, we'll get to 4 in a minute, and because I know the discourse out there about like which ones are people's favorites and stuff, but I think they did a really great job with 3. James and Glenn again have their own very unique style, and so if you watch 2 and then you watch 4 and 5 and 6, like they all have a different style, except there is some similarities I think between 1 and 2 because it's visually their storytelling is very unique to how they tell stories. But I just thought it was a fun thrill ride,
Sure.
I enjoyed it. I thought, it not in a bad way, but it kind of went like some of the stuff was over, like the nail gun scene and the tanning bed scene and like the scene through the fireworks with the horse and they just go crazy in a good way.
They did, dude. I love the tanning bed shot, and then the cutaway to the coffins is just.
That was a beautiful transition.
It's one of my favorite edits.
Favorite shot. Oh,
yeah,
like the 2 best shots edits like that in film history is 2001: A Space Odyssey when the monkey throws the bone up into the sky, and then the bone turns into the satellite. That's one of the best transitions ever, and then there's the tanning bed scene from.
Well, I hope James and Glenn are watching this because that was beautiful. Yes, that was a beautiful.
Shout out to James and Glenn. I want to give a big shout out to them. I'm also a big James fan, so
definitely James Wong. James Wong, I think, is low key underrated.
I think he's rated. I think people watch his stuff. He's appreciated.
No, I think they're both they're both very interesting because they've had such a long history.
Well, he did make Dragon Ball Evolution.
Anyway, that's my favorite movie. Like I was saying, they have a very long history in the genre, horror genre or suspense genre. But I think Glenn is a really fascinating director in his own right. Like he did the Black Christmas remake and then Willard.
Oh, wonderful!
And he's just he's got a really again he's just got a very specific and unique visual style that I think is really, really interesting. So it's always fun to see people go from this movie to directing either action stuff or in different kinds of genre stuff. So I mean we had oh gosh, it's a little late here, and I usually fill this up with green tea before I do podcasts, but then I woke up really early, so if I do that, I'll be up all night. So my brain is it's probably 70% speed.
You're totally good.
That's all right. That's all right.
Did Glenn do the 2006 Black Christmas remake?
Yes. Well,
not the new one, the one right.
Not the new one. The one, the one with Michelle Trachtenberg.
That's my favorite.
And, yeah.
Oh, I have that DVD too. I'll show it to you.
Oh jeez, just Naima pulling up.
Oh my goodness gracious, man!
Leave me and my DVDs alone.
No, I can't be saying nothing either because I got a whole DVD collection.
All these are DVDs.
Yeah, I've got mine. Yeah.
Oh, there is going to be a day where I'm on a DVD cover and people are going to be fighting over my DVD and showing it 20 years later. So you know what? I'm going to appreciate other people's works for now. Look at that bad boy.
Yeah.
There you go. Still got the Goodwill sticker on it. There
you can tell him this is my I keep it as is how I buy it. I don't change a thing on it.
Good.
Tell him this is my favorite Black Christmas one. Is the 2006 remake. I love that one more than the original. People can fight me for that. I don't care. I think
it's good. It's good. I mean,
good. You got Michelle Trachtenberg in there. You got a good cast.
I always like the original. I don't know.
It depends. It depends. I'm the same way as Dakar. But it really depends on the movie. Some movies can really outdo themselves in a way. Some. I'm not saying all.
Some.
But yes, your tanning bed scene, if anyone that's watching it with me, I'm looking at them to make sure they see how beautiful it is after going from the tanning bed to the funeral, with the coffin.
Yeah.
Max, did I not tell you? Did I not, Max? Tell him.
Yeah, I was texting the whole time, dude. I said that's fucking cool.
And I said, I was like, did you see the coffin scene? He said, yes, I did. And I said, okay, I'm glad. I just want you to know I'm a huge fan, Jeffrey. This is my moment. I never get to talk about it. So I'm this is the time I get to do it.
Well, again, I humbly am very excited, but also always give credit to the creatives
everybody
on after me. So yeah, I'm glad that I created this wonderful playpen with some cool ideas and cool, death and twist and things like that. But it's genuinely, because some people are always like, don't you want to do another one? And it's like, you know what, I story wise, I kind of did what I wanted to in the second one. I just wanted to do what I would like to do with sequels. And I've talked to the studio, because in my opinion, it's like, hey, we know Death's design for now, but that doesn't mean Death can't change designs or can't change not just patterns, but change the way that it does things. But they, of course, wisely don't want to change the formula too much. So, I'm like, if I could kind of come in, but see, this is when fans get annoyed when somebody comes in and changes the formula, and then they're like, why'd you ruin it? So of course, my thing is I have a couple of cool ideas I think would be great ways to just shake it up. but then I don't want to be the guy that shakes it up and then be like, why'd you fuck up what you started? And now he hates Jeffrey. And I'd be like, oh yeah.
I mean, I think Bloodlines does that pretty well, where it shakes it up just enough to where it's like, all right, this is fresh and really liberating for the franchise. And I really hope moving forward it also keeps doing that.
Yeah. Well, I know it will.
Nice. I like getting that confirmation. That's awesome.
Jeffrey, can I ask you a question if you can answer it? There was a casting call before 6 came out. I think it was about a year or so before. But they had announced that there was going to be a 6 before any other details were being released. There was a casting call for paramedics. I didn't see paramedics in the movie.
Yeah, no, there were several drafts that went around, and there was one that came really close to happening that was going to involve first responders and paramedics because and this is one of the things I keep going back to Craig Perry because and his producing partner Sheila, who Craig's been with it since the olden days, and Sheila it came on in the recent sequels, but is brilliant, and they are so protective of this franchise and the stories. So they really put like ideas through the ringer, and so Craig loved the idea that first responders kind of deal with death on a daily basis. So how would this impact them as opposed to just your average person who isn't worried about like dying all the time? So they had a really cool story that they were working on, and then word got out, and some people started putting fan art out and stuff like that. And then they decided, and I don't know if it was just the timing, I don't know exactly why they decided not to go that, with that story. It was a strong story. The cruise ship was a fake.
Oh.
That was a fake. That was some fan art that people went crazy on.
Oh. I didn't hear about that one. I heard about
the paramedics was the one that they were really going down the road on, and then a couple years after that, people all of a sudden a bunch of cruise ship fake fan art started going around. Everybody's like, "Oh, they're doing it on a cruise ship."
Interesting.
And it's like, not a cruise ship, but I know they wanted, they want to make sure for the sequels there's a reason to do it, especially after 14 years.
Sure.
I mean, we still have a couple more before we get to Bloodline, so I'll chat more about that.
I'm excited.
All right.
Here, Max, I'll give you my recap on 2 and 3 because listen, tanning bed, the nail gun in the third is, I think, probably my favorite of the third. Obviously, the tanning bed, that's like classic, but the nail gun, I just know how brutal that was. Like every time, and whatever. One thing I love about 1 and 3, I'm gonna say this: 1 and 3 are my absolute favorites. There is something special about 1 and 3. I think 1 is dark, 3 is dark.
Yeah.
And 2 is that comic relief, but it's dark. Like it makes you depressed, but in the best of ways. The second movie I think is fun. Like these characters are quirky. One's doing cocaine in the car, and then he cusses out the cop when he walks away and calls him like a biatch or whatever. I don't know, but it was so funny. And then he asked Kimberly to hide his porn and paraphernalia so his mom doesn't like the dialogue in it.
Not the cocaine in the car.
It was so funny. And then even the death of like the boy getting like completely killed.
Yeah.
And I heard that's a running joke with a lot of the cast in the 6th movie. I heard that's like one of their absolute favorite deaths in the entire franchise. There's like a whole running joke about it. And then the elevator scene, which obviously scares the living daylights out of all. I mean, I think what I love about those is that there are actual deaths in there that we think about, or, we think, oh, that, like, but then they show it happening. You're like, oh, God.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So 1 and 3 are my absolute favorite. 6 is different. 6 it's a nostalgia. It's an homage. It has its own life. That's why I didn't put it with 1 and 3, but it's 1 and 3. And then obviously 6 is of equivalent to 1 and 3, but in its own beautiful way. And we'll get into that later. But I think there's something about 1 and 3 that they all connect in a way. Like you were saying earlier, there's this connection to it that I think those three movies do really well in connecting. And then the sixth movie really brings it home, which we will talk about later. I'm just getting excited, but that's my little recap on one and three.
Yeah. The third one was my favorite for until Bloodlines came out, because it really felt like it looked like was there a budget increase for the third one? Because it really just feels like.
I think there probably was, because I think some of the set pieces were a little bigger, but the budgets for part 1 and 2 are pretty hefty. But I think Glenn and I think the way that they shoot too, and there's the cinematography on their stuff is very dark and rich, like color scheme wise. Like I've noticed that in a lot of their work is they shoot really dark, rich, vibrant. You see it also in even like Black Christmas, and Willard. Like I think that the shooting style is enriches it. But yeah, the roller coaster, I mean, obviously that set. I don't know if that was more. I don't know if that was more expensive than either the plane crash or the other thing, but they did have the big fair, with horses and things running around. So, but they do a pretty good job of keeping they'll do enough to make it expand it so it doesn't feel too small, but they're very judicious on,
Yeah, there was
location.
a lot more practical use rather than CGI in the first three. I think that was another thing that why I love it so much. There was this beautiful balance of using those practicals and using CGI only to enhance it rather than the other way around. And I can tell that because you find those deaths way more realistic. When it's that way. So did they use more practicals, I guess? Yeah.
Yeah, obviously the roller coaster was some practical, but a lot of CGI because of the people hanging from it. But they try to. This is definitely the one where they try to use as much practical as they can.
May I ask, were you involved in 4 and 5?
I wasn't involved in directly, not at all. I did. I know with I speak with the people that work on it, constantly. I know that originally they were going to do the ending for part 5 at the end of part 4, but I was very concerned because I definitely enjoy part 4. It's fun, have a great time with it. The issue that a lot of people don't realize is they shot part 4. They did part 4 right before the writer's strike happened. So, when the writer's strike happens, you have to write the script, give it to the guild, and the guild is on set to make sure that you don't change a line of the script from what you've written. You can't change anything. So we didn't have the luxury, the production didn't have the luxury on part 5 of doing what you do with a lot of scripts. I mean, if you listen to the commentary on Bloodlines, I mean, they were ad-libbing so much. They ad-lib so much stuff. They came up with so much stuff on the spot. And that happens a lot of times in these films where people will come up with ideas, on the second day of shooting, and they're like, let's change this, or let's keep this character alive a little longer. So for part 5 or part 4, they couldn't change anything. So that had to be written, registered, nothing changed throughout filming. So that's the only reason, where people are like, oh, it feels like it's just, just the final, they didn't go above and beyond or whatever. It's like they did a really great job of it. There were limitations because they couldn't do any work on the script after quickly turning it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But you said originally the ending of 5, the kind of prequel loop around.
Craig was talking about doing that for the end of 4.
Okay.
And I was like, look, this one, because we did have to, rush it out. I hate to say rush it out because, Eric's a really good writer. And, I still think it's a lot of fun. But just the fact that they had to, and they were also calling it the Final Destination. And as a horror fan, I'm like,
why
should not call this the Final Destination because obviously people are going to expect some kind of answers about Tony Todd's character, or they're going to expect some finality or some big thing. And I'm like, we're not giving it to them. And sure
Mhm.
enough, it turned out to be the biggest grossing film of the franchise until Bloodlines. But people left feeling like, oh, we were expecting. So I was like, yeah, that ending is so amazing. Like maybe like save that for later, like
Okay.
save
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Save the
It's
ending
an
because that
incredible
ending is
ending.
brilliant.
It is.
Hmm. That's interesting. So
I
that was.
love the idea of the prequel. I think that
Hmm.
is probably my favorite part of the fifth movie is when you actually go back and watch it. I know I'm skipping ahead, but we were talking about it. Is that when you watch it, you realize it's actually within the time era of the original film, and they did it on purpose to make it match to be the prequel to the first film. Did you catch that, Max, when you were watching it?
Well, yeah, I
Recently?
texted you about that, dude. Yeah.
You knew it was the prequel, but did you notice like the flip phones? You notice like the like very old like it's the little details that they did that
Yeah,
was
it's very
really
subtle.
brilliant.
I admit that it is a very subtle little switch up with five throughout it. It's
The reason I'm calling you out, Max, is because you and me have been going back and forth about this discussion. Now we're just finally sitting it on the air. That's the only reason, guys. I promise.
no, you're good, dude. You're good. But I'm curious though. So that change was made before the strike had taken place. Then I'm assuming, or
Yeah,
how? Okay,
they just decided. Yeah, they decided not to. Yeah, not
okay, interesting.
to just push that because I was like, it's the final. If you're calling it the final destination, like
Hmm.
that's if you're going to do a movie that's going to be a prequel, like that should be the whole
Yeah.
thing because it's such a delicate like balancing act of keeping people on their toes. And I like the idea that they introduced, the concept of, if you kill somebody, you get their life as well. So I thought that, that one kind of went into like mystery, kind of like Bloodline started off as a mystery, like we don't know what happened to Iris and what's going on with his family, and it was a
Hmm.
family movie. But that one also had like it added this whole other level once they kind of introduced that element, like, oh, I can kill
Cool.
somebody and get their life, which I thought was pretty, a very clever. It's always with the Final Destinations. It's you don't want to become tropey,
Hmm.
where it's like, okay, every movie there's going to be like one new rule that you add
Hmm.
or one new thing. But so that's why I think Bloodlines was interesting because it didn't need to add
Sure.
anything
Yeah.
because it was starting off with a family and a whole new angle. But yeah, back to four. Four is just such a guilty. It's not even guilty. It's just a fun,
Hmm.
back to basics. Like let's just set up these people. They didn't even have names. If you look up their credits, it's like racist
Yeah,
MILF.
one of them's Mil. I was about to say I saw that on
Yeah,
IMDb
it's
as
like
well.
racist MILF. Like they. Um,
Right.
so I think they were kind of in on the humor of it. Um,
Okay,
And
cool.
we got the escalator scene. That is my favorite death
Oh
of
God.
false death. But I
Yeah.
am terrified of escalators. If you ask my husband, anytime I have to get on it, it takes me like I watch it and then I like get on. Like I'm still terrified of escalators.
I didn't get. We've done a lot of conventions and just going out in public in general, Naima. I didn't catch that for like the first year I had known you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Have you
I'm
ever
like,
caught it?
no, I have. I'm saying like
Oh,
it didn't register. That's what that was for like a
yeah.
year. I was like, why is she so weird, dude? Just get on the fucking escalator.
Final destination, bro.
See,
Fucking
Yeah.
Jeffrey,
people
everything
up.
I say is not exaggerated. I promise that I'm genuinely just that type of person. But yeah, I've been getting better at it. Like especially at the airport, I've been having to like act like an adult. I'm 26. I have to just get on the escalator like everybody else. But I think that's what makes these movies so incredible because it sticks with you and it scares you. You were saying how not every film has its new rule on death, but I think I haven't seen a rule that they've put that didn't work. The first
Got it.
one, die in your order. Second one, it went backwards. Third one didn't have one, not that I'm aware of. And then
Was that she could see the pic. She was seeing
in the
pictures.
pictures.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it
But
was
I feel
more.
like they all
leaned
had
more into
signs. Yeah.
lean more into the like. There's some psychic thing that or there's some
The fourth one introduces the idea of like you can't kill yourself either.
Oh yeah.
No, that's the
Until
second
until
Oh, the
it's
second one did that. Yeah.
oh
Second
I,
one. because he tried to put the gun to his head and then
The
it
6
clicked.
bullets weren't going through.
And
Yeah.
it didn't
I
go
forgot
off.
about
Yeah,
that.
I remember
'Cause
that.
I remember in the fourth one, there's the guy who's like, I've been trying to kill myself all day, and
I
it's
know.
just like nothing's working. Like that one had one of my friends like actually like he texted me about it because he was watching for the first time before Bloodlines, and he was like, this one scene just like completely killed him. Like he was it was Jake. When he was watching it, he was just like, dude, and he says that every once in a while now, like I've been trying to kill myself all day, and like nothing.
That's just hilarious. That is hilarious.
I think the humor of it is like when they're dark, but when they got humor in it, oh my god, they're so. But they work, they balance. It's kind of like a lighthearted movie and then dark and then lighthearted, but you have to watch all of them because they all have some type of special. And it was at the time of 3D. So when I watched it, I watched The Final Destination in 3D.
The Final Destination.
Which I never understood why they called it The Final Destination. Was there
me neither.
Final one. That was the plan.
It wasn't
No?
really. It wasn't really the final plan.
Oh, okay.
Because they know. They know.
They know.
Just a marketing thing.
You know,
because it pulls people in. You know, it's like if you say the final Friday, the final this, the final. It's just another layer of like marketing to it. I mean, I shouldn't say. I mean, the movies do cost more than your average, you know, horror film. So maybe they were thinking, but you know, there wasn't anything about the movie to make you think it was gonna be the final one because there was no closure, there was no answers, new answers or anything like that. Really,
Tony Todd, even that's the only one he's not involved in, isn't it? Isn't it?
No, he's not in the third.
No, he's not in.
He does the voice of the devil.
Oh, he does the voice of the devil.
They added that in late. Yeah, they added that in at the last minute. They were like, let's add him in. I was like, yeah, you guys are being dumb if you don't have Tony Todd in your movie.
Yeah. Tony Todd makes those movies.
He does. And
he has
they really
that death presence to him.
Yeah, and they really course corrected on the fifth one with that because Tony had a lot more to do in that movie. If you notice, like they had a lot more scenes, a lot more interactions with the characters. You know,
yeah.
Well, let's dive into the fifth one real quick then. Might as well, dude.
I was ready to talk about.
Oh boy.
Tony the fifth. Okay, the fifth. Yay!
Let's hear your thoughts, Naima.
No.
Let's hear your thoughts.
Listen, again, I love this franchise, as we've been talking about all night. But I will admit, the fourth and fifth are not necessarily my highest ranking within the franchise. Doesn't mean I won't watch them. I watch them every year. But I think there is just that shift I've seen of the more, for me, the aspect of CGI. Like, I'm a big gore girl. Like, I'm with a gore horror, whatever you want to call it, right?
We know.
And I guess there was a part of me that kind of wished that more like practicality was kind of present in the fourth and fifth movie. That I think if it was, it could have really upped the ante a little more. But I do have to say, each film, no matter what, has a moment in there that stays with you, as I've previously mentioned. And the fifth one, besides obviously finding out that it is a prequel to the first movie, which was shocking in and of itself. I was not expecting that. And then when you start looking back,
makes sense.
That makes sense. And then the idea of adding the new rule of if you kill someone, you take their lifespan. And then finding out that the one guy who actually accidentally did that, the guy was going to die anyway. And then he ends up getting killed by the engine from the plane, which I think is fabulous. But my favorite death of that movie was the gymnast.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Gymnastics.
And again, how is she gonna die? What's like? You guys play with me on that. You guys tease me more than anything. And her death looked so real. Until this day, even there's a moment when it happens where I'm like even I have to like take a second. I'm like,
yeah.
I cringe anytime I catch like a little bit of the Olympics because of that, dude.
Yeah.
God, y'all got me on that one. Ooh.
That was the first time, like in a while, since I'd seen a movie like when I saw that gymnast scene, like because again, it was just that movie was that was after the fourth one. They really decided to make the fifth one for the fans again.
Sure.
So that, I think more thought went in. Not even more thought, but more Tony Todd, like more, story, more like the gymnastics scene, like that was the first scene in a long time where I actually at the preview screening that the studio had for it, that's the first time I like because I'm very cool, especially when you're watching a movie on a studio a lot. Like you want to be like super cool. So I was in it, but when she hit the ground,
Mm-hmm.
I friggin' yelled out like because I was just like, fuck, like okay, like I was not expecting to like basically break her in half when she landed.
And then for the bone to be just like coming out right there
Oh yeah,
too. Oh, that's solid. That's a really solid
That
death right
was
there.
amazing. I mean, in the
And,
worst of ways, but yes. Wow.
yeah, and I love how you don't know exactly what's going to happen to her either. Like, and then just once it hits, it's just that one quick punchline, and it's just it's so shocking.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that one is another one of the best deaths in the franchise, and it's something that I like about the whole franchise. Like even in the films that like I don't like as much, that might be a little bit harder to get through when I'm doing like the full watch through. But there's always a scene in there that just knocks it out of the park. Like I will always be like, all right, I have to appreciate this movie because they put everything into this one scene, and it's excellent, and it pays off on the premise of the entire franchise, and just that excellent just setup, that you see the follow through of, um, and yeah,
Yeah,
no,
dude.
overall the fifth one also I love the whole opening sequence in that one as well.
Yeah, this has been great.
Uh, yeah, and that has like a lot of CGI. Obviously, it's the bridge falling apart, but
Mm.
I think it still holds up. The last time I watched it, it still looked like pretty good. Um, and like again, like because what I was trying to say before with the third movie felt like a lot more cinematic. Like the cinematography in general just was this huge improvement. And the first two looked great, and the third one like really like knocked it out of the park. And then in the fourth film, the cinematography just wasn't as good. And then it comes back around again in the fifth one, where the whole opening set piece is very cinematic.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I like that whole scene. And obviously, like the inclusion of at the end there is like a human villain that now you have to be worried about, like somebody in the cast is gone crazy because they don't want to die, and that, well, I think there was a little bit of that also in the third movie if
In
I
the first.
remember. Oh, okay. Oh yeah. But this one really makes like a whole point of it,
Yeah.
to explore that side of things, and I think like that would be something moving forward. Like I would like to see in the franchise, like more things
Oh
about like
yeah. No, I
humans
really
that.
I pitched a whole serial killer version.
Oh
Oh,
wow,
really? That's
there you
interesting.
go. And that's what because those are the things I'm
But
thinking
they were
of when I'm
like
watching it.
but they
I
were
want to
like,
see that.
"Oh, they were like it's too it's gonna it takes too." Well, I didn't realize it, but there's because they don't tell me because they have to pay me. But they had done some books. So I guess there was a book that involved a serial killer. But yeah, I my idea was like somebody's on what seems like a perfect date until the date goes like, like kidnaps the woman and she kind of wakes up in this like place where she sees other victims like these targets on the wall or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And just right as the killer's about to kill her, she snaps to in the Uber with the guy and realizes what he's going to do. So she freaks out and gets away from him. So the police are after the killer. Death is after the people that aren't being killed
Oh.
because
Mhm.
so I
Oh
thought that would be a
wow.
lot of fun. And they were like, yeah, that's great. But one of the books kind of touches on that. And we think that would be too, because I can't argue with them with this. The reason they like to keep the movies, even though the last one was set started off in the 60s, there was a point where they were looking at doing a medieval one when Game of Thrones was really hot. You can find the trailer online if you look up like it was like a teaser trailer that they put together to kind of sell the idea. And I'm like, people would go see that, but they're like, yeah, but what really people really respond to these movies is because it's stuff that could happen to them when they walk out of their house. I'm
That's
like,
true.
I 100% agree, but also dragons and death, I think people would go see that
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, 100%. Oh my God. Listen, I think you're gonna do it one day. I have a feeling.
I, I don't know. I don't know. They've got some really strong, great plans. So I don't know if it'll. The good thing about this franchise is I think you can keep telling stories without having to do something like that, which can work, and I love it on so many levels. But I think that would be great for like a TV show, or like if you did like a different season set in different time, like that would be something interesting. To
That
see.
could be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
Well, all these shows, all of these movies we grew up watching with all their franchises, they're now all coming out with shows.
I know.
Chucky's
Yeah.
Friday the
coming out with
13th,
one.
Halloween one's coming out.
Halloween one too?
Yeah. A24 has the Halloween one out as well.
I mean, look at all of these coming out. So I mean, there might, there
There's
could be
also
a
like
destination TV series.
The animated like film route, like Predator just had one recently, Killer of Killers, which came out on Netflix.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was like an anthology series that explored different time periods, to just that easy premise of just drop a predator in this specific time period. And it is interesting. Like earlier today, I was also just thinking, it was just Final Destinations on my mind, and I was like, what would you do with like different time periods? Like, how much would that change? Is it more or less dangerous back in medieval times, like for random events like that to happen? Because like, it's more brutal of a time period, but there's also less like technology, which that is kind of the biggest fear in all of these movies. Is like there is almost this subtle theme of the fear of our technology and all these great things that we build coming down and killing us. I would love to hear what ideas for
Can I tell you guys an idea I had from Final Destination? Because I never got to ask Devin this question, even though I got to talk to him and he's awesome. And also because of that whole thing that came out about the paramedic, because there was a casting call, I don't know why I even got it, because they were looking for people in their 40s and 60s. So I'm still a little confused about that. You know what? It gave me an idea something was happening. So I was happy. I didn't care. But it got me thinking. And I was like, if I could die, what would it be? And Jeffrey, I'm going to tell you, because I think it'd be fun. I'm a little quirky, so I apologize in advance. But I like to have fun. This is a fun podcast. So hear me out. Me and Fatis, my husband, we came up with this one. So I think you're gonna like this, Max. We came up with it. I recently just got recertified for CPR. Okay.
Oh boy.
And I need to know this. You know me. I'm a little crazy. It's good to at least understand what's going on. And my husband, he's a doctor, so he helped me come up with this. It's great. And I was telling him, I was like, well, the sixth movie, I think there was originally an idea for paramedics or something. And he goes, didn't you just do your CPR? And I went, yeah. And I was like, but how would I die? And he goes, imagine. So we come up with this whole shenanigans of there's a person who's a paramedic going to train a CPR class, right? So they're the only person who knows how to do CPR. And they have the little body or whatever. They put the body down, they're getting ready, setting up, but they have to use hand sanitizer because obviously people are disgusting. They put hand sanitizer, a little bit of hand sanitizer hits one of the chemical things that you have to use on the thingamabob, and then it falls into the suction thing that the mouth, like you have to like breathe, like do the kissing thing too. And then when the instructor goes down to show them the mouth to mouth, they get suction in because it was like my husband explained it better, but the way that it suctioned, because it was sticky and it like causes your mouth to suction in. So you're thinking, oh, they're going to die from suction. Like they're going to die from suffocation. And then they're like, going through their fake, the fake death mode or whatever. And then all of a sudden, one of the people who don't know what they're doing, the newbies like trying to learn, they go in and they like kind of cut the the plastic bag so that they can breathe again. And you're like, oh, they're fine, right? But what they didn't realize earlier, because they didn't pay attention, is when all of that was happening, before they even brought the person in, they dropped it, and the little pump mechanism inside, the little spring, it got like lodged into a section. So when they actually go to like their to continue what they're doing, and they're like, we're good now, we're gonna do the compressions. When they go to do the compression, the spring pops in and gets them in the neck, and then everyone else around them doesn't know CPR, so they die because lack of CPR. I thought you'd think it was funny, and I was like, that's funny, but
write that down, Jeffrey.
Oh, I already did. I already wrote it down. We had a whole talk about it before we got on the podcast. We were like, if we could die, what would it be? So yeah, I thought it was funny. What do y'all think? It's pretty good.
That's a nice little pitch there.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll be sure to tell my husband that too.
Yeah.
You're the
It was
reason we need
just
company insurance. That's
it was just convoluted enough too, and just yeah, I could imagine
Yeah.
just like everybody laughing at at that
Yeah.
happening in the movie
You
theater.
have the doctor on screen to make sure it's
Mhm.
accurate. You have me on the screen to like get the acting right and the horror mechanism of the Final Destination franchise to have the knowledge. So it's like between the two
And
powers, it was gonna be that it's gonna be that depth that people talk
Yeah.
about.
the best part of it is the irony of the CPR instructor being the one that
Yeah.
needs CPR and no one else can help them.
And no one knows what they're doing.
That's the part that I feel like really like gets to the heart of what like instead of that being like a rip off of like a different movie where people die in weird mysterious ways. That's what really makes it Final Destination, I feel like is that.
Do I get the Jeffrey star of approval for that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Speaking
Thank you.
of the
Okay.
heart of things, I want to go ahead and for us to dive into Bloodlines, because I was shocked by this with how much heart this movie has for this franchise. Like you mentioned, it's been about 14 years since the last one. I don't want to consider Bloodlines to be like a legacy sequel. I know it's been kind of something we've been seeing in just the industry in general. But yeah, this is a really heartfelt movie, I'd say. Let's go ahead and dive into it right off the bat. Jeffrey, I know we this before we did our last podcast together. This film wasn't in production just yet, and you were kind of talking about how this is a thing. We'll loop back around to it at some point.
Oh yeah, no, I was being very vague.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's I think I was vague in that it's a Final Destination movie, but it's not just going to be like
hmm
an opening with a bunch of people cheating death and then death coming after them. Um, and I think the heart comes from the fact that that it was a family.
Yeah.
And that was John Watts' idea that to like what if somebody from the 60s saved a bunch of people, like the premonition doesn't kill a bunch of people and it saves a bunch of people, and she's found a way to like protect her family, but it's been since the 60s it's been going through everybody who was survived the Skyview and killing off their bloodlines. And I think that that's what makes a movie special is you're dealing with a family, and we didn't have, you don't, that's just a connection that gives you so much like comedic, not comedic, like heart, but also comedy and also instant stakes. The minute you meet the family, like you realize like, these people are close, but they're estranged from Stephanie because she took off. But then you realize that the reason that they're traumatized is because Iris was trying to protect them from something we know is real. Like we know death is really after them, but her family didn't. So she screwed up her kids. And then her grandkids are kind of suffering the price too. And so that bond was there, setting it, where you had this like opening where you actually cared about Iris.
Yeah.
You grew to really care about her and she actively stopped the accident from happening and you're like, hooray, but wait a minute. Oh, fuck. Now she's, living out in this kind of fortress. Yeah, it just had a lot of heart to it. And then with this being Tony's last film, they really wanted to make sure that he had there was some concern, because he was sick that they wouldn't come back to do it, because a lot of actors, there's a lot of actors, if they're sick, they don't want to be on film,
Sure.
it's just vanity, and I understand it to a degree, but I know that Tony was like, you better fucking put me in the movie. Like, it wasn't that they weren't going to, they were just very delicate how they approached it because they knew that he was very ill. And so they didn't want to, they just wanted to approach it delicately. If he didn't want to, it's like, we would love to have you do this and this is what we're thinking, but we understand if it's, and he's like, you better fucking, yeah, I'm there. And he went there and killed it. And he ad-libbed that last scene. I'm sure you've all heard like that. His last lines were ad-libbed. And it was just such a beautiful closure for his character. But also such a wonderful farewell to like fans, all of his fans, like you could cut that speech out and just play it to Star Trek fans and every fan that's watched any of his films. And it's just like a wonderful kind of you know, live life to the fullest.
Yeah, truly. And it's such a beautiful, like, full circle having this be the film to also kind of give his character almost like a little bit of an origin story, if you will,
Yeah.
with everything going on at the beginning of it. Like, this movie really does have a lot of heart as well, just because of the Tony Todd stuff. Like, it means so much as someone who has grown up with his films, not just Final Destination, but Candyman, and just seeing these roles. Like, I got, teared up a little bit while I was playing through Spider-Man 2 because there's a tribute to him at the end of that. You know what I'm saying? And that's just a voice acting role. And in a franchise I was never familiar of seeing Tony Todd in. And to be able to see something where I am familiar with him in, and over all these years in a role that he enjoyed, to have such a beautiful moment is truly something special. Like, I don't know, Bloodlines was able to capture like lightning in a bottle again,
Yeah.
for a multitude of reasons. But that scene alone is the greatest scene in this really good movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
I wouldn't
absolutely.
argue with you on that. And I think, and it was magic in a ball. I mean, the directors had done a really wonderful indie film called Freaks, um,
Hmm.
about people with powers that had to kind of, keep it hidden. Um, and they were so passionate about doing this film. It's a thing of legend, but it was a Zoom audition or interview, and they had their whole pitch set up. But what the studio execs didn't know is that they'd pre-recorded a lot of it. So it's like if you were interviewing me right now, and you watch me, and the screen might glitch for 1 second, but then you start noticing some weird stuff, like you notice like the mini me fall over.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden my sound goes out, but I had a candle up there, and so the mini me knocks a candle over, and then the wax starts dripping. So they pre-recorded all this stuff, and their mic had went off. So the studio guys are like trying to get their attention, and they're still kind of pitching, and then all of a sudden the ceiling fan falls and like decapitated one of them. Like that was their audition. So,
Ooh.
Um,
so
Okay.
I remember Craig called me up and he's like, these are the guys, not only because they were so passionate, but because he said the timing of how they played everything. It was like you were watching a scene in a movie.
Hmm.
It wasn't too fast. It was just, he said it was just perfect. And, I don't think that audition will ever, I think they've locked it away somewhere and probably should, because I was like, when I met them, I'm like, I said, I'm so glad that, because they're just amazing guys. I said, I'm so glad you got this role, but fuck you for setting the bar so high for audition, for getting a director gig. It's
Yeah, yeah.
like, you really set the bar. But that's the level of passion they brought to it. And, the writers were amazing. And, um, but then I don't watch a lot of the DVD and commentaries on stuff because
Hmm.
I know most of this stuff anyway. But this one I watched a DVD commentary, and I didn't realize like it was, everything was planned, but the directors were so cool about also like letting characters like ad lib, or because they wanted them to like really feel, live these characters. And so like when Richard Harmon's learns about who his dad is, and
Hmm.
every line he left the room, he would say something different. He just ad-libbed a different line. And when Bobby's doesn't want to leave the house, and they're like, "What's going to happen to you here?" And he's like, "I don't know. You could," and he couldn't think of anything. He's like, "Fall in the toilet." So some of those like, and when Teo's character talks about I think it was a cupcake or something that ate him,
Oh,
or
hot dog. There's
or
a
hot
hot
dog
dog
that
that
ate
ate
him.
me.
Like, so
Yeah.
some of the most organic, like funny lines in there were just, you know, the script was great, but then just giving the actors the room to play and feel like a family where they
Hmm.
were comfortable to like ad lib and bond, like you really felt that relationship. So, like the bond between the brothers was like so sweet and real. And then, that MRI scene is probably
Oh yeah.
Oh
one of my
God.
favorites now. Again, they keep top. There's a lot in that movie. I mean, I love the friggin' kid getting smashed by the penny,
That's classic. Then the logs at the
I'm
very end,
glad
of
he
the
died.
course.
He was
logs.
the one death I was excited about. God, I
Yeah.
couldn't stand him. Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
I texted you all watching. I was like, "Fuck that Penny kid, dude."
I know, I
Yeah.
know. Let me tell you, we were in the theaters and it happened. We were all cheering. We were like, yeah.
Oh wow.
We were so happy.
Oh gosh, dude. Well, let's hear some of your thoughts on Bloodlines.
Yeah, Bloodlines. it's cool to know that a lot of that was like ad-libbed stuff, because that was something coming away from it, was like the dialogue feels so naturalistic, and like the humor like really hits when these characters are talking to each other, and I actually genuinely care about these people,
Hmm.
which is a rare thing in just horror movies in general. A lot of the times they don't really put that extra effort in, and you're really just there for the kills. Here, I'm like, shit, I don't actually want any of these people to die. Like, they're really funny, and like they actually show how they care for each other. And there's this whole family history thing that you get kind of enveloped in, and I like how a lot of it comes from like, you could attribute some of this to like real world, traumatic family history, with like that parent that you had to cut out of your life because, they something happened to them and they kind of were abusive in some way or overly controlling. And there's just so much in this movie like that hits emotionally. So that when people start dying, it's that impacts the viewing of the movie like so much more. And also, yeah, it's a gorgeous looking movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The whole opening, I did not have enough time to rewatch the whole film today, but I was able to rewatch that whole opening sequence again, and God, it's just this amazing, like almost like a short film within the
Oh yeah.
film.
The way it's shot and the music and the editing and the sound design and the shout scene,
It's a 10 out of 10, dude.
So
And
much.
It's
like
so good.
me and my friend who I mentioned earlier, that one of her favorite film franchises is Final Destination, like we went together to see this in the theaters, and we were like giddy with excitement, like whispering to each other the entire time, like yeah, just like that exact same noise. And we're just like, oh my God, is it going to be this? Is it going to be Ring of Fire from Johnny Cash is playing? Like, there's going to be fire, something's going to happen, there's going to be explosion or something, and it's going to be the elevator because they're all terrified of the elevator, and then it's like everything. It's not just one thing happens. There's like a
That's
million
cool.
different things that happen.
That's cool.
And it was so exciting to see this, because it could have easily been a half-assed, like, we got to get in on the legacy sequel trend. Oh, we have the film rights to Final Destination. Oh, that they haven't done a movie for that in a while. Let's just, slap some shit together and have it be the same cookie cutter formula or whatever. But no, this movie really, it blew me away when I was watching. It was one of my favorite movies of the year. Like, I still think it might be in like my top like five or so. And I love the way it captured, and you can tell from watching the movie that these were fans that made it, because half of the dialogue in this movie is dialogue that I've had with my friends in real life, where it's like, oh my God, what if we were in Final Destination right now? What if this ball hit that lamppost and then bounced off of this thing and caused that to fall on my head?
Yeah.
And that's in the movie, and it's these characters are like self-aware of how ridiculous the situation is, but it never goes so far to where it's like a full-blown comedy where nothing matters. Like when people die, you still feel that. And yeah, I think it's a fantastic movie, like all around. It's my personal favorite of the franchise.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Damn. I love it, dude. I love it. Naima, let's hear some of your thoughts on this one as well.
Yeah, I was pumped when they told me a new one was coming. Jeffrey, for another one to come out. I knew there was going to be another one. I didn't know when. And listen, it's been so long. I had high expectations. I didn't go in like, no. I was like, this is going to blow my mind. I was like, it's going to. If it doesn't, I'm going to cry. So I avoided every trailer in the book. You know how hard that is to avoid every. Do you know?
Especially if you go to the movies all the time. And
let me tell you,
for trailers.
You know that I avoided the trailers because I didn't even know the dad died by the lawnmower. I had no idea. Because I didn't watch any of the trailers. I was like, no, Naima, don't do it. So I avoided trailers for a very long time. That was very tough. So the anticipation was coming. I think I saw it on opening night. I was like, I can't wait. I was like, if I wait one day, it's all going to be spoiled for me. I was like, I have to be one of the first to go watch this. So I remember going in, and I knew it was called Bloodline. So I had an expectation that it was going to bring us back to something from the original films. It was amazing. It really was. Like And yes, it is a legacy sequel. It is, but it is probably one of the best legacy sequels I have ever seen.
I agree.
It is, because you have to understand something. As someone who's waited as long as I have, again, people are like, no, it's just movies. Yes, these are movies, but movies shape people. Movies, we grow up with them. They grow up with us. I don't think people understand the significance. That's why I have so much physical media, because this is what I grew up on. I have so much physical media from when I was a child that I kept, because it's important. And that's the reason I want to go into that, is because the way it impacted me, I hope that it can impact somebody else that same way one day. That's why it's so special to me. So going into this, it was kind of like a moment of just really heavy nostalgia, like to finally get those answers of understanding how this all started and going back with beautiful, aesthetically gorgeous. Like the whole plot was it was beautiful. Like the whole opening, I didn't know where it was going. Again, I didn't know anything. So seeing it go back to the 60s and then her stopping so many lives from dying, and all of those people, it's following their story. So then you go back and think, I wonder which one of those was Alex's bloodline, Kimberly's bloodline, or like, who are the people to these characters? Wendy's bloodline, who are they to them? Like understanding like there is so much more to this than we know. Understanding Iris, keeping herself preserved. I do want to know, and I can ask this, can answer this later, but I do want to know if Iris died of natural causes and never actually went out, would it have stopped? That is a question I would like to know, if you know it, but I'll get back to that because I don't want to forget it. And then going to finally understanding Tony Todd's story. And you have to understand, I've been following him since Candyman. I mean, obviously I wasn't alive, but as long as I have been alive, he's been a really big figure in the horror genre for me. I mean, he's a horror king. And everyone knows. Yeah, he's a legend. I mean, everyone knows this. So, and it's not like they just gave him an ending. They gave him an ending. Like they really gave him like one of the best goodbyes I think I've ever seen. Like knowing that this is his last film, sending such a beautiful message. I think I cried during his part. I think a lot of us cried during his part. And just understanding like he's not going to be in the future ones, and that's okay, because we got that moment with him and we are able to continue on and still be able to be like, you know what, he gave us something to leave behind. That's very special for us. And he'll always be remembered. I mean, how could we ever forget him? And then it kind of continuing on to this family dynamic, which you said we've never seen it before, which I was a little hesitant because I was like, I like families. Like it's hard. Family deaths are always the worst for me, but they make for good, films. And then seeing Richard's character find out that he's not even part of the family. Is that why he always wanted to play catch with me? Is probably one of the funniest lines in all of Final Destination. It is absolutely hilarious. But the best part, the part that got me, was his first false death of us thinking that it was going to be the septum, which they
just really quickly, you mentioned the marketing earlier. That was the thing that they were playing up the most, was that scene, which was brilliant because it was a fake out, and it's probably one of the best jokes in the movie too. He's just walking down the street afterwards like, oh yeah, no, I got a little burn on my arm.
Yeah, it reminds me of what Hereditary did. Hereditary had this big false advertisement with their poster putting that little girl, the really creepy one, who ends up getting decapitated later on, but the whole time you're thinking the movie's going to be about her, but it's not. And in Final Destination, obviously 6, I can't miss the poster. I can miss everything but the poster. I'm like, oh, they about to rip the septum, and I'm like, that's terrifying. I don't even have a septum, but even for me, it was like that's like grody. And so when it finally was starting to happen, I was like, this is too easy. There was a part of me that was like, I don't believe it. I was like, I want you to do it, but I'm also like, I don't believe you because you always lie. Like death always lies to us and then gives us something different. And I was like, I don't believe it. And so when he finally cheats and he walks out and he's just, normal, you're like, I was like, they better. I'm thinking they better top his death after this. I'm like, they better.
You haven't seen it yet, have you, Dakari?
No, I have not.
Oh, okay.
Dakari, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
Hey, listen, I've been tuning a lot of this out anyway, so
as soon as you hear me yap shut, then you can come back.
Right. I was gonna say though, I'm glad you brought up Hereditary, because even though I'm not the biggest horror genre fan, I've always appreciated it. And if anyone asks me what's my favorite horror movie, I'm always gonna say Hereditary. Hereditary, I feel like, is the only horror film that has impacted me the way it has. Like, I remember watching it when it first came out. I had to fall asleep in the dark. I couldn't even fall asleep with the nightlight on like I usually did back then. Like, that's how bad the movie creeped me out, you know? So,
Dakari, let's do an Ari Aster sister film podcast episode one day.
Oh, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
sure, that'd be
Sister
great.
film as
There you
in
go.
Hereditary. It's tomorrow. I'll explain to you all what that means because listen. There's so much in this noggin. We don't want to get into
You
it.
know, that's okay. I'd love to do that. That'd be great.
Oh, yeah,
But going
dude.
back into six, when he walks out, and there's beautiful balance of death and just this like eeriness, and then comedy. And then the one that got me because I truly believed like this is actually a real fear of mine is when they're talking about the sister getting thrown in the trash. No, they were like, "So I'm next," and they were like, "Well, man, a ball can just go and I could be in the trash can, and then I get in the dump and I whatever impale I think is the word impale. Everything's impaling at this point, and all of a sudden the sister is in the back. She's not even in focus, and she just goes. And that's always a fear of mine. I'm like, God forbid somebody drugs me and then puts me in a trash can to try to get rid of me, and I'm still like gone. And by the time I wake up, I'm in a trash can. Like it's a real fear. Like you never know. I'm a small woman. God only knows people are crazy out there. But anyway, so going into all of that, finding the lineage, even in the best part, this is what I was getting at, Richard. I love his character. His scene, which my husband, he loved it, but he goes, not realistic. And I'm like, it's a movie. Stop. He's like, you wouldn't do it like that. He's like, that can't actually happen. He was like, that was rad, but he goes, I actually can't. And I'm like, babe, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's Final Destination. They can do whatever they want. They could throw me against a roof if they wanted to by wind. It's fine. So when he actually gets, in, I don't even know what you want to call it. I don't even know what you refer to it in terms, but I'm going to say impaled because everything's impaled to me. When he gets inwardly impaled, I'll just say that. Not because he was part of the family. This is the other twist. This is the little death token. You know what it is? Because he tried to help his brother cheat death, and death was like, nope, you're going to die too.
So good, dude.
And then you end us. You're like, I'm going to hit you with the train at the end. I'm going to hit you with the
All right, no more smiling. I feel bad.
Fine. He's not even listening. I will say this though. The little fake out that y'all did trying to go back to the second movie with Kimberly, but actually it's a fake. It's not even a Kimberly moment. No, babe. It was a Wendy moment. And having that at the very end and the person be like, the little doctor that they meet after, and he goes, oh, I don't really think you would have died from that. And then bam.
Did you
and I want
notice
to say something that you said, Jeffrey, earlier that I want to point out. When you said about the second movie, when they talked in the car about how they were related to the people in the first movie, I picked up on that. And I think it's so subtle and I think it's so realistic in the way they talked about it that I don't think they even needed to address it more because it was a moment of realization of all of them of how they actually got here. And I think it was really special. And people that actually pay attention to the movie, they will catch that because it's such a really important element. If they don't catch that, then they're not paying attention. And honestly, I don't feel bad for them for not picking up on it. I think it was so subtle and I think it was fabulous. I think the sixth movie was fantastic. I think that I waited this long and it paid off exactly the way, if anything, better than I thought. So I am beyond just, and the casting, I'm so excited to see what you guys continue to do, with the rest of the franchise. But the sixth movie coming back, that is Bloodlines. Like that is 1, 2, 3, and 6 are my absolute favorites. But 6, it's its own category even within Final Destination. That's why I can't put it with 1 and 3, but it's of the same exact caliber as 1 and 3. That's how special it is, but also how different it is for me. So loved it. Thanks so much. It's a bloody great time.
I'll just say my last little bit for Bloodlines. Freaky as hell, dude. My parents were like big, like metalheads, punk rock heads growing up kind of thing. We had that same Misfits Fiend bobblehead like in our living
Oh
room
yeah.
growing up.
Oh,
That was like on the mantle nonstop. So seeing that in Bloodlines was like the weirdest and coolest kind of moment for me of this whole film. And also my dad like has or still has, I don't fucking talk to him, but had a bunch of piercings. So that whole death sequence was just crazy to witness, dude.
yeah.
The Prince
Nonstop.
Albert was nuts. Great touch, by the way.
Yeah.
Question for Jeffrey. Did you have like any sort of like involvement with Bloodlines? Like, were you like credited as producer?
I get based on characters created by because I'm created the franchise. Like
Okay.
the only involvement I really had is I did speak to, the writers and the director, specifically the writers, and just ask that they make again canon that Kimberly from part two was survived. So that's actually a pretty
Okay.
big mystery
Okay.
in the movie because they're like, oh, there's a survivor, and then they figure out who it is, and it kind of ties into Tony Todd. So that I certainly want when because I'm not precious about things, I think there's always, we live in a business where people like to not give credit to people where it's due and take credit.
True.
Yeah.
That's why I asked that question because
Yeah.
it
So
happens all
I
the time.
don't, so, I'm very grateful that I've been friends, with David Ellis, who did and Eric Bress and J. Mackie Gruber and a lot of the actors and the producers and the studio executives. Like I've just, been friends with them for so long that they do share stuff with me, especially even when they're brainstorming.
Facts.
And I never take that for granted. Because it's just cool. And it's like for the Kimberly thing again wasn't me just being a dick. It was honestly like I told them, I said I never wanted these movies to be, it doesn't matter what you do, everybody in the movie's going to die at the end of it.
Hmm.
I wanted the movies to be like maybe you can't cheat death, but maybe you can expand your life and enjoy it for longer. So that's why it was very important for me about with the Kimberly thing was to establish that she was still alive because, by nature of a lot of the other movies, they ended up killing everybody at the end of it. And Bloodlines is it's in universe and it's a legacy sequel, but Alex and all the characters in the other movies weren't connected to the Skyview people. Like
Oh.
Bloodlines is its own like while Death was because Death's everywhere. So while
Hmm.
Death was doing all the stuff in Final Destination 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, this was happening alongside of it.
Okay,
It was going after the descendants. Iris had just been studying it, so she'd been studying all these weird deaths that had happened. So that's how Bloodworth, kind of knew what he knew when characters would visit him from the first film, in the other films.
Gotcha.
I thought they
Okay.
did
No,
a
thank
really
you for
clever.
clarifying that. Now that I know, I didn't
Yeah,
even
I mean,
didn't even know that.
it's interesting because I don't think it hurts anything either way if you think
Hmm.
about it, but it's just like with the movies going forward, again, there was a reason that they kind of ended Bloodlines the way they did, because they wanted it was death was like trying to clean up the Iris bloodlines.
Mhm. May I ask two questions for you, Jeffrey?
Mhm.
The first one being my previous question because I had rambled for a bit, but all in good nature. The first one is if Iris, obviously in your opinion, if Iris would have lived out her days and died of natural causes by old age, would the cycle have broke?
Mm.
You know what? I don't think it would have because her kids still would still not have been born. Like they were still an
Yeah.
anomaly. So I think that when cancer got her, it would have come after her family anyway.
Okay. Okay. So no matter what, it was going to continue.
Yeah, because I think yeah, because they weren't supposed to exist. Like she was supposed to have died. So death would have still finished the job.
Okay.
And my second one is, did you always know that Tony Todd's character was always going to be related back to him being somebody that was technically in a Final Destination moment? Was that something you knew from day one, or
No.
later?
No, it's because it was a whole it was a whole long process from when I like wrote the TV script to it developing. And originally, because when you write a movie, this is what's always frustrating. You do something different than everybody is like, and it works, and everybody's like, that's great. But when you're selling something, they're always like, you have to answer who, what, where, and why. Like, so everybody was like, well, why is Alex having a premonition if he's supposed to die? So originally, I was, the logic was that Alex wasn't supposed to die in the crash, but everybody that he got off the plane was supposed to die in the crash. So death was going after them, and then people were suspecting Alex because, as in the movie, he kind of was around. Um, but again, like if you take that out, like nobody, I mean, people have asked, but it doesn't ruin the movie that we don't go into some explanation about you know, the premonitions. And so in the original script, the character that is now Bloodworth was actually a guy who was kind of lurking in the background, following them around, and they weren't sure if he was a killer or whatever. But it turns out that he had the same thing. He had gone through the same thing that Alex was going through. So he was trying to warn. He tried to warn them, and they were like, "You're crazy." And then, of course, he went off. So that character morphed. His name was Randall in the script. So he wasn't a mortician. He was a guy who was lurking, around and the kids thought maybe he was the killer, and then he finally is like, I know what's happening to you because it happened to me because I had a premonition and saved a bunch of people, and then
Because he's always so vague in the early films.
Oh, yeah.
He talks in code. So when I saw Bloodline, I was like, did they plan this after all these years to show us the reason he is who he is because he's one of them, which plot twist blown out of my mind. Phenomenal. So to know that that wasn't even the intention, but yet it still played so well. I mean, well done. Fantastic.
I think that
The theory that was going around for the longest time was that he was like the physical manifestation of death. And I'm glad that they didn't go with that, that it was something, because like I was expecting that going in. And then it was like, no, he's a fully developed like human that's been through all of this before, and it really paints this whole picture of what his character has been doing this entire time.
Right.
I really appreciated that.
And that's what's great about like, especially when you bring in like fresh, because we've seen movies where it's like the same people are this, and this isn't the case all the time, obviously, but you see movies where it's like the same person like writes like 20 movies in their in their films, and sometimes you get lost in the weeds because you've got in your head something so set, and the fact that keeping Tony Todd's character vague, but also knowing, unfortunately, that he was getting ready to pass, and that we wanted to like honor his character, made everybody come up, and I'm not sure, I'm not sure if this was a Craig thing or if this was a Guy or Laurie thing or the director thing or, I know I know it was a writer thing, but Craig is always. Craig's got like, and Sheila have like so many files and cabinets and ideas about like permeations on this, and well, if this happens and this ripple effect for everything. But knowing that Tony was going to pass, they had to really give him a send off that made sense. So that sparked them to be creative and think outside the box, and then tie him into this 60s premonition, and then he's been alive and knows all this stuff because he's been working with Iris, and Iris has been feeding him information, and as she's learning stuff, but she's kept herself locked up. So yeah, it was yeah, sometimes you can take credit, I mean, not that I take credit, but sometimes if you try to plan things out like too much, and you don't leave yourself open to other people coming in with like great ideas, you can find yourself like just with kind of stale stuff. Like, so, that's why I'm really glad that they allowed all the different theories to simmer about who he really was. And then, there were a couple of people that I've talked to. I mean, just nice, they're nice, but they're like, well, I wish they would have just kept it vague. And I'm like, but Tony passed away. Like, so
Yeah.
you want something vague, and then all of a sudden he's just not in any movies anymore. Like
doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense, and the audiences aren't going to like that. So, yeah, I was just really happy with Bloodlines.
That's beautiful. Oh wait, I have two things I didn't mention. I have to say them now or forever hold my peace. Pregnant Girl in number 2, Fake Out, loved it. Fantastic. And I know you were really involved with that. And you had mentioned something earlier, and I was like, that's a good, that was, I know you didn't get to do that with Alex in the first movie, but I'm really glad that you got to incorporate that somehow in the second. I think that was a very, really good plot twist to add. So I appreciate that. And also for the third movie, no one gives my girl credit. I can't even tell you her name. I'm so sorry, but I can't forget her face. One of the girls, and they were both named the same thing, the tanning bed girl. What was it, like Ashley? Ashley, right?
I think
Brittany?
I think it was Ashley.
The Ashleys. One of the Ashleys. I'm gonna give her credit, Scream Queen to Scream Queen. That Ashley, she was in El Chupacabra Dark Seas when I was growing up, which was a sci-fi movie. So I want to give her credit if she ever watches this. I remember you, girl. Great job. And you had a great scene. So I have to give everybody credit because, let me tell you, seeing where people started and where they are now and just seeing them grow, and just some people, they don't act anymore. Some people, they still do, and they're in, other things, and they've grown. It's incredible. You have to give it, like you were saying, it takes a village. You acknowledge everybody that's part of it, because without them, the story wouldn't be the same. And kind of tying this back with Galaxy of Film, like obviously I'm an actor, I have my own agent outside of this. I have my own thing outside of Galaxy of Film, but Galaxy of Film is my family. Galaxy of Film takes me in. We're family. We bicker. We love each other. They're like the brothers. I already have one. They're like the other brothers I didn't think I wanted, but I guess, I really did need.
And you're okay too. Don't worry, dude. We like you.
Whatever. And you know what?
We're the brothers you deserve.
So well. Yeah. And I truly love them. And I wouldn't also be the filmmaker that I am without them. And so hearing you say bringing other people in is so important. And just even looking at our little, amazing indie film, production that will one day blow up, and we will, laugh about these days in our penthouse in New York City. And just being like, this is where we started, and look how awesome and fun and cool we were. And, to see wherever we go or grow, I think is really pretty rad. So takes a village.
I agree.
Look at you tying it together, Naima, almost like a full-time co-host. Hell yeah, dude. That's how it's done right there, dude. Taking it all away from me. I love it. And guys, I think it's going to go ahead and wrap it up for our discussion on the Final Destination sequels. It's been a pleasure getting a chance to talk about these movies. Long time in the making, because like I said, last episode when we talked about Final Destination was back in 2023. Glad we were able to come and knock out all 5 of these things.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm saying, crazy.
5 because we talked about the original,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
we brought it back for us.
Yeah. And then in a couple of years, we'll be talking about part 7.
Hell yeah. Love to do it, man. Love to do it.
Jeffrey, it really is such an honor meeting you. Genuinely. I know I'm a little quirky and crazy, but I am a fan, and it was such a pleasure talking to you.
No, it's my pleasure. And again, congratulations on what you're doing. And again, thank you for being fans. Again, like it all goes back to that. Like you make anything for the fans. You make it for yourself because you have stories you want to tell, and then you pass the baby on, and people help raise the baby, and then when the baby goes out in the world, you hope people like the baby, and then to have people liking the baby is like really nice. And now the baby's 25 years old. Baby's out there. Lord knows what the baby's doing now because he's 25. Thinks he's invincible, probably going out partying way too much. But
that's funny.
You know what, Jeffrey? You know what's gonna be awesome? You get to look back and be like, I created something, and look at all these people and how happy and excited and just how much they want to keep it going. Like, what a legacy to have. Like, I own, all of us, that's all we ever want is that legacy. So, may we all achieve that, of course.
No, I think you can always achieve that, and it's always, for me, like people ask me like what the best part is, and it's meeting fans is amazing, but literally the best part of something because is going no matter what part, like even if I just write an outline for something that gets made and written by somebody else in turn. Oops, did I just hang up?
No,
Oh,
you're still
No,
good.
no, no, you're
I
good.
touched the
You're
button and
good.
all of a sudden another screen
For a
came up
little
and I'm like,
longer.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
But just going on a set and realizing like that all these people
Mhm.
are working because of something that you put to paper.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
all these people are supporting their families, at least for, this job. They have a job and they're supporting their families and yeah, it's that's the part that's amazing to me is like
Yeah.
we forget, studying theater, it was always about the play. It's like, oh, we're Shakespeare, or, Oscar, anybody, it was about the written word first.
Hmm.
But, in Hollywood and TV, they always try to be like, well, it's really about the stars and the director, and then we'll get to the actors later.
No.
But, I've always just having that theater background. Remember, it starts with what's on the page. So then when you see like so many people like working, you know, um, it's just a great feeling because you feel like you're
Mm.
contributing like to people's lives in like a real world way and not just
Yeah. Not just with
And
the
yeah.
art sense, you know.
and you've been
Galaxy
saving
Film,
lives
guys.
too.
We
And
made it,
saving
Galaxy
lives.
Film. We did it. People care about us. So we did it, guys.
Yeah.
Clap,
I
clap.
must,
What is it?
I must say that it's definitely very much an honor to have you on our show, Jeffrey, because for me at least, because even though I'm not the biggest horror fan, didn't grow up a fan of Final Destination. I definitely appreciated the films, and to have this conversation amongst us all just showcases the power of filmmaking, period. I don't even have to be a fan of horror films to recognize how horror films have impacted people throughout several decades, including myself. Sometimes I don't even know it. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So this is incredible, and thank you for coming on the show.
Of
Yeah,
course. Thank you
truly,
for
man.
having me.
Of course.
I'm proud of all of us.
Yes, we all you we all did good.
Right,
We did.
like
And
you
we
guys.
got Jeff on the show, guys. We did
That's
good.
incredible. You guys actually, I actually want to watch Bloodlines for real. I've already wanted to watch it, but it's just like you guys speaking about it this whole time. Like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I watch it before the year's over at least. You know what I'm saying?
Got to, dude. Before that top
Yeah.
10 episode we do in January. You have to.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely for sure.
Definitely, dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
goodness.
appreciate all of you guys too.
Yeah. So
Aw.
that's this is a really awesome episode of Monster Mayhem. Thank you so much, Jeffrey,
course.
for coming on here. It's a real pleasure and an honor. Yeah, I can't wait for the next movie to come out, man.
Will,
that-
Will,
that's
I have
what's
one
gonna be
thing to
crazy.
end off for you.
Yeah.
Hold on, Will. This is for you.
Uh-oh, she
More
bringing
show
another
and tell.
DVD.
There we go.
You gonna make me bring out my DVDs, man.
See, I left all mine in North Carolina, dude. I just have my stack of my criteria.
Oh, she got the
There we
shirt.
go.
Oh,
There we go.
That came out pretty good.
Hell
For
yeah,
context, Jeff, that's the design that I made for this, little side show.
when we getting
Monster Mayhem.
shirts, man? When we getting
We're
shirts?
representing that Nightmare Weekend next week.
Awesome.
Got a rep.
Gotta love it, guys.
That's awesome.
Oh
Speaking
man.
of Shakespeare, come see me in Titus Andronicus.
Oh, you are doing Titus. Oh man, that's gonna be
Y'all better
sick.
come see it.
That's gonna be sick.
Lots of things to watch, guys. Lots of things to come out and see. We got plenty of new films coming here of Galaxy of Film. Man of the House has been out for a couple weeks now. Acts of Violence comes out this week. Of Books and Bullets, the film I just shot's coming out in December because we gotta wait for a festival for that thing. However, the much better film that we've worked on that I'm very, very proud of called Would You Like Fries of That will be coming out hopefully early 2026 is my plan. I could not wait for you guys to see that. Genuinely, it's the best thing I've shot so far. Yeah, it's so
Also,
exciting.
Also, I got what we got like 2 other
You
short
got 3
films.
others in the.
Well, now I got
coming
3
out.
other short films coming out before the year's over. So
We got
and
a
we
lot.
got 2 more for me too. We got Bad Company and Always Number 2. We got a lot
oh
coming
my
out.
god, hey man,
We're like
hey,
a film company or something, you know.
Something like that, dude. You could have fooled me.
something like that. It's something.
And then Jeffrey's gonna come back for the 7th installment. Typical when Tuesday night things.
Yeah.
Goodness. Well, Jeffrey, it's been an absolute pleasure getting you back on here for the
Of
show again.
course.
For our listeners,
man.
please reference our other episode of Jeffrey as well if you haven't already. But where can our listeners and viewers follow you online, Jeffrey?
Just on there's so many social media. I'm on Twitter and X, not Twitter and X. Twitter, Mr. Musk. Twitter, and Instagram at Jeffrey A. Reddick. So if you follow me there, I update stuff that I'm doing, or if I see stuff I like, I post it. I know some that goes over to Threads, but it's so hard for me to keep up. Like I would get on Twitter, but that's where I have most followers. So I'm like, I've tried to get them all to go over to other sites, but so yeah, Twitter and Instagram are the best places to follow me and
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
I've
And
got
links
some
down
stuff
below.
I'm working on, so hopefully I'll be able to make some announcements on those soon.
Cannot wait. Can't wait for it, guys. And of course, be sure to watch Final Destination Bloodlines if you guys haven't already.
Yes.
It's a truly great film, guys. I'm so proud of it. And everyone involved with that film as well. Congratulations. But yeah, stay tuned because next week for Monster Mayhem, we have a horror filmmaking roundtable. That'll be pretty fun. We got one of our friends from Open 99 coming on the podcast, making their debut to talk about a little film that Naima's in, Hell Squad 2 Fresh Meat.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll be pretty fun.
Meat.
We're going to be talking about Pretty Hurts. We're going to be talking about acts of violence. Got a whole bunch of stuff coming. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Johnny Zuko is also making his return to the podcast next week as well. So stay tuned, guys. More Monster Mayhem coming. Got a lot coming our ways with the rest of season 4 as well. But thank you all so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving us an iTunes or Spotify review. It truly does step up the show much more than you can imagine. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Yes.
Take care, everybody.
You can find all our other podcast, original films, articles, and music on our website, galaxyofilm.com. We're also on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and you can join our Patreon for exclusive content and our Facebook fan club for early access to our films.